Yo guys, what's up? How are you doing? It is Thursday night and we are nearly here, nearly at the Indomitus release weekend. That was almost slick. How's everyone going? Got Des, Viking, Crooked Grim. Crooked Grim? Grin. How's it going? Sparrex! What up, champ? Exclamation point weekend to learn all you need to know about this weekend. App day is better than box day. I mean, I've had my box day. It's right here. Right here. So, you know, I had a great day, box day. We opened the box. We did a release video, a little review. We drank a shot of hot sauce, which I totally didn't regret this morning. It was a moment earlier on today. Spark says, any tips for my Custodes army? All primed, ready to start painting? Is it in sub-assemblies? Because that will save you hours. Hours and hours. Having painted a lot of custards, I can definitely say that is the way. Good. Then get the gold and then move on from there. So today we've got the Royal Warden. Now we're going to paint the Royal Warden in the Games Workshop Necron style color scheme. So we've got this guy who is noticeably shorter than this dude. I mean, the fuck? I know this guy is stood on, as always is the case now, a bit of stone. But motherfucker, what? This is a death mark. This is not going to be like an out of production kit. These are still going to be in the army. They're bad right now, so don't get them just yet. But this guy is, you know, he's up there. So yeah, the Crons that hibernated a little bit more in their crypts got an extra growth spurt. What is this? What is this absolute madness? So we've got this guy we're going to do today, and we're going to go all the way through how to get from a primed undercoat all the way through to that stage this evening. We should be able to get the whole guy smashed out. It's a really quick scheme. And whilst this is a character model, and whilst this will go into my own Necron army, which I'll slowly build up over the next however long, I'm in no real rush. These are the kind of things that just want to get painted. We're just going to get them done, and then we'll move on. Primaris Kron, indeed. Seeing scale increase for the sisters, they're massive compared to the current Cadians. Yeah, those ladies look like they may have been shot putters. Definitely. Crownblade, how you doing, mate? So this guy, let's just grab another primed and undercoated mini. This guy, for instance. This one's shiny. Dun dun dun. That's the first tip I'm going to give you all. When you are doing a lot of metallics on a mini, Crooked Grin, Tactical High Heels is right. When you're doing a lot of metallics on a mini, start with gloss undercoat. Yeah, this guy slept for even longer. He even grew a third leg, which is not like a third leg. You know, just a legit, actual third leg. And this guy, I am really looking forward to painting at the weekend. This is such an epic looking dude. And I gotta admit, when I first saw him, I thought, damn, he's big. But I didn't necessarily expect him to be this big. Admittedly, we've got a headless Judicia right now. He's in sub-assemblies. This guy, no sub-assemblies. Too many fiddly bits that kind of intersect, and I wanted these to have a nice smooth connection point on as well. But the Judicia, whilst being currently a head shorter than he would normally be, that really, this is a big boy. Those claws are about half the height, 2/3 of the height of a Primaris dude. That is one big boy. So we've got these to paint in the weekend. Really, really looking forward to it. But for tonight, this is what we're at. Gloss Undercoat. And the reason we used a gloss undercoat, the Vallejo Mecha, I think they call it now. The one I've got looks identical to their matte black. It just says gloss on it in a slightly hidden fashion. So I may have bought it by mistake, but have found ways to make it useful. Quick one as well. I'll show you. We finally got that Tau Commander all put together. This is Commander Starscream, clearly. In that Mohawkminiatures colour scheme, baby. Love this dude. The backpacks are just sort of put on there. They're not glued on there at the moment. So we can take them off and get to all of this nice little bits of detail. But this guy looks fucking cool. So happy with the way he came out. Commander Mohawk. No, we'll do a Mohawk as a... I mean, clearly it would have to be like a Taunar, right? 3 guns, massive Moe. That's what we'll do. But let's get on with this, guy. So if you guys want to follow along at home, we're going to discuss every step as we go. You can obviously write it down or just exclamation point YouTube, go and sub there, watch the VOD back if you want to work out how to paint your Necrons exactly the same way. Now, you don't have to use the same paints I'm using. So rather than tell you all the time what the paints are, in this case we've got gunmetal and silver, I'll probably just talk about things like dark metallic, light metallic, grey, yellow, green. Everyone's got some of those colours. And if you only have like a light metallic, mix some black in. If you've only got a dark one, mix some white in. And you'll get pretty much the same kind of effect. Obviously, going to be doing a lot of airbrushing tonight. Does work. None of my knights actually have a Mohawk. I need to measure this area of space here so I can speak to our print you one, who is going to print a Mahusive poster for me. And down here you'll occasionally see a Crusader with a Mohawk and the Scrivo command on there. That's the poster we're getting put up there. It's going to be super, super cool addition to the studio. We're going to be using a lot of Flow Improver this evening. This is obviously key to pretty much everything that we do with an airbrush, but you're going to need that. Des, yeah, cool. I also got that shipping notification. My parcel is with My Herpes, as they are frequently known as, because sometimes they're just irritating, you know. Wooden Spoon, Matt is here. Finally makes his way back. How's it going, champ? There's not even a giveaway tonight. How can it be rigged? Just can't. We've got all of the weekend's giveaway prizes there, minus of course this dude. So whoever wins the box on a weekend, don't worry, it won't be minus the Royal Warden, who is actually one of the best minis in the Necron army. It won't be minus that, you'll just get the one from the set that I was going to keep for myself. But we wanted to paint a Necron dude. When we put the advert up on Instagram, I think it was 82% of people said, yes, paint that please. So we've had a good showing of it. Right, now, the first technique we're going to do is undershading. Andy Evans! Dude, thank you very much, mate. Twitch Prime sub, 2-month streak. Absolute boss. How long to buy tickets? So it will be tomorrow. Not tomorrow. Saturday. God, it felt like Friday then. It really did. But yeah, Saturday you'll be able to buy the tickets. The stream will start at 10 AM. The draw will happen at 11 PM on the Sunday. So you have almost that entire weekend to get those tickets. Now we're hoping to have finished by around then, but we're basically going to work through till they're done. like I said, first thing we're going to do, undershading. So we're going to turn the Mini upside down. And we're going to spray using our darker silver. This is gunmetal from Vallejo. And we're going to spray all of the underside of the Mini. So imagine you're doing a Zenithal just up his bum. It's an upside down Zenithal. That's the way to look at it. So make sure you get in all of the bits like his leg. There's a cloak there, so you've got to try and get in underneath a lot of that. Don't worry too much about the gun, but let's at least get the blades. And the gun we're going to paint black. Grimicus! Thank you for that follow, man. Crooked Grim. I keep calling you that. Sorry, Crooked Grin. We did do the demons. We finished them off at, admittedly, 5 AM. But we did finish them off. They were done. Everything was finished. But I still think this is probably the hardest challenge that we've set for ourselves. 118 demons in 48 hours. Piece of cake. Piece of cake. But painting 2 minis to character semi-display standard in a weekend on stream. Ooh, that could be tough. Could be tough. Could be another late ass night. So now we've got our under highlight, our under shade. This is all looking nice, dark silver. So you could use lead belcher from GW, bolt gunmetal if you've still got that. But we use gunmetal from Vallejo Model Air. Notice how all of this still very, very dark. This is where we bring out that lighter metallic colour, silver. Don't know what Games Workshop silver is that's light, but there's... Oh wait, no, it's something steel. Runefang steel? Maybe? But if you're airbrushing, which I'd strongly suggest you do for this sort of stuff, definitely grab that silver. Wraith 1 UK. Thinking about a black and silver theme for my Necrons with blue SL and weapons and eyes, body, orbs. Any advice on how to approach something like this? A Wu-Tang Clan! Dude, I saw your Instagram post today. Fucking well done, man. Well done. That's an achievement. I think I need to do the same myself, mind you, but well done. Right, so black and silver theme for Necrons, blue SL, weapons, eyes, body, orbs. So blue and silver obviously are very close together. And I'll explain the answer while we're doing the rest of this. We're going to do a top-down as a zenithal. So what will happen is we'll have areas of our darker metallic underneath where we'd have less light, and areas of brighter metallic on the top where we'd have most light. And where we've got things like this with the shoulder pads where they change from darker to lighter, this is what's going to help give us that nice transition. So blue and silver are fairly close together. In fact, a lot of times silver has elements of blue in it. Look at things like steel, for instance. So probably the biggest advice I could give you is to find a way of keeping your blue and silver from just bleeding into each other, because that will happen, unfortunately, quite easily if you're not careful. On the cake, we're going to do highlights towards the bottom here. I'm going to just run that through dark to light. Roll 1 to explode, getting a sub as well. 3 months already, just dropping by the lurk while I clean up. Nice, dude. And that started a hype train as well. Thank you very much, man. Good to have you here, mate. Enjoy your cleaner. Was it the roll 1 to explode? Is that what you're cleaning up now? Did you roll the 1? So there we go. We've got ourselves our base values. Black and silver crons. I'd probably go with black for everything. Like literally everything. And then do the silver on stuff like the little bit in the head that they sometimes have. So this guy is a commander. He's got that stripy part to his head. We're going to do that green. Things like the unks, parts of the weaponry, joints, stuff like that, do those silver. And then do your blue OSL, as you've said, pretty much everywhere else. You'd probably be tempted to do the shoulders silver, but especially on things like Immortals and stuff like that, where you're going to have a lot of this Gorse or a lot of the Tesla, you're going to get blue in this quite large area, especially by the time you've got the ribs done too. And if you do the shoulder silver, that will all kind of bleed together a little bit. It's very difficult to separate those two. So I just do those black. Maybe apply some accents, like some nice stripes or something like that, and away you go. You ready to roll once, you're safe. Good for you, man. Good for you. Right. So we've managed to give ourselves our base values. We've got the dark bits, the light bits. Grand. Happy days. We're a long way away from this. Like, we really are. But the next step is going to get us almost all of the way there. I know it sounds absolutely crazy, but I promise you, the next step, it starts to look like this. Without the OSL, obviously we're not doing the green next, but you really do transform it from, I've sprayed it silver, to I could probably get away with putting this on the table. Probably. What we need to do next is create a mix. Now I have some of this mixed up myself already. That's not the bottle. There it is. This is what I call my fake Rightland. So this is the bit that you want to clip, or you want to go back and watch. You want to get a piece of paper and a pen and write this down, because this is important. GW uses Rightland Flesh Shade, or their new like Necron-y paint, whatever it is. Bastard Brit, Des was absolutely right. It does need a command. Yeah. You're right. I'll put it in the brushes. No, I can't put it in the brushes command. We'll just do an airbrush command. We'll do the whole setup. So the airbrush, the compressor, the lot. This is what you need. And this one mix that we've made turns this into this. Well, to be more accurate, I suppose, into this. Which means it shrinks him by a significant margin. Crime Related, I'll read that, and then we'll go through this recipe. Indomitus Weekend Stream Hour 0200. After falling asleep at his painting desk and drawing a slight puddle on the cutting board, Jay wakes for the start. With some disorientation, he then proceeds to search the desk and floor for the pot of medium/flow improver that he believes he has spilled. I don't spill anything, man. That's why I have dropper bowls. Speaking of dropper bowls, you should get some. For stuff like this, you will need flow improver. You will need... Where's it gone? It's here somewhere. Not that, the other one. You will need Rhinoxide. You will need Bogrim Brown from P3. And you will need Fire Red from Vallejo Model Air. Now this is my own recipe. This was done through about an hour and a half or so of trying to come up with a mix of paint that would be thicker and easier to use than spraying Rightland Flesh Shade over those bone-coloured Necrons that we did. They're still, wrong shoulder, just here in the cabinet. They need to get sent off very soon. The way to mix this, and this is why I suggest you get a bottle, is 24 drops of flow improver. This is important. 24 drops of flow improver. 5 drops of Rhinoxide. 6 drops of Bogrim Brown. And 1 drop of Fire Red. That's it. And what you get... Where's my... a pot of it somewhere down here. Here we go. What you get is the paint version of Rightland Flesh Shade. Okay, this looks a little darker because obviously it's glossy. and has a lot less like sort of body to it. You're just seeing pure pigment suspended in a very, very thin solution, whereas this, being a paint now, is much, much thicker. Having that thickness makes this really easy to control when you're spraying it on large flat areas, like the sides of, say, a Doomsday Arc. And that's why we came up with this. So again, 24, 5, 6, 1. Which means that this has twice as much flow improver in it than it does paint. So this is definitely thin enough. You don't need to thin this down anymore to get through the airbrush. This is absolutely spot on. So that recipe I'm giving you guys for free. That's how to make a version of Rightland Flesh Shade that you can airbrush very, very easily. Now I'm just going to wipe out the pot because we've got silver paint in there and we don't want that. And we're going to spray this colour over a lot of this silver. Now, a lot of people would immediately think, well, they was just in with brown, it won't have any metallic effect whatsoever, but have a look at this. Dreadsy! Oh, wait! It's not. That's rival Sarah gifting a sub to Dreadsy. Sarah, you absolute boss. Did you get those brushes? That's all I care about. Dreadsy, here you go, dude. That is 3,000 more meeps for you. Boom. You're squared away. Let's get some hype for Sarah. Exclamation point tufts all over. So this right here, look at the brown. You've got patches where there is a very, very dark brown. And it's almost opaque. There's no real metallic coming through from it. Let's zoom right in. But notice how, as you get further out, you just get a nice brown metallic. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Yeah. Look at the legs. There's still that metal showing through. And if you look at the GW new Necron paint scheme that they're using, you'll see that on their minis, they have... They have got that... Damn! Rutang throwing out them gift subs. Let me screenshot that. We'll do those after the stream. No one's going to need those right now. That'll do. That won't do. Shit. Do it here. That reminded me to do it. Got a little blurb. Ah! There we go. So, subs gifted out by Rutang, who's an absolute boss, to 2Fluke9, Odin's Wolf, Nappy, Strizy90, Telcroft, Ghosted Wolf, AMP Services, Rev, Noise Marine, and Saragon. Rutang, you legend. And not forgetting, Mukra, subscribe to Twitch Prime right there at the end as well. Awesome people. Awesome people. So, this going over there is going to give us that same effect that Games Workshop have achieved with their washes. We can do this through the airbrush. So the reason that's good is because A, it's quicker. When they do it with their washes, you're looking at like a 2 to 3 stage wash process to build that opacity without it just being like blotchy and coffee stainy and horrible. This is what's going to give us that. This is also going to help give us a rusted, somewhat damaged look effect on all of the bits we're going to leave as a metallic. So there's loads of reasons to get this going on. Jotun, what you doing, man? How's it going? Sarah, are you feeling slightly inadequate? Because you shouldn't. You give loads to this community. You sponsored our glow-in-the-dark tufts contest. For the first time ever, I got to send something to Buenos Aires in Argentina. So I appreciate that one. Smithy! How you doing, man? Have I seen Frozen Cesaras? Yes, I have. I definitely have. Zerubian, thank you for that follow, man, and welcome to the stream. I've seen Loz's as well, and hers looks mint. So, let's start at the bottom and work up. Now, as a rule, all of the stuff towards the top will be brighter than the stuff at the bottom. Right, Milo, let me sort you out. There you go, mate. You're sorted. Right, so all the stuff at the bottom darker than the stuff at the top because we've got a nice area up here to attract the viewer's attention to. So let's start with the feet. Let's get some brown going. I'm going to leave the toes. I'm going to carefully start spraying this into like the top of his foot, getting up and around the ankle. And we're working quite close. We're working with a lot of pressure and working with a tiny amount of paint coming out here. Don't want any spider webbing. Don't want any mess. So rock the trigger back and forth should you need to. Get several passes down all in one go at that point. Nice, mate. Smithy, I'm doing great, dude. How about you? You looking forward to the weekend? Exclamation point weekend. Exclamation point box. Exclamation point mystery. That's a fun box right there. Right, on the calf / shin guard towards his knee. We'll try and leave a nice little bright peak there, but for the majority of this, let's just start staining it with this brown. That's basically what we're doing, is applying a filter over the metallics that we've put down. So this is tinting the colour. We are, once again, glazing with the airbrush. But this is much, much easier to control than a GW wash. As soon as you put that on a Mini, it just runs everywhere if you put it through an airbrush. Even I have issues getting that one sorted, so just beware of that. Stizzy, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. Let's get up here into his Necron bits. Now, all of this is going to be pretty much in shadow because he's got a great big gun of whatever description in the way. So let's make sure that we get a load of our brown fake Rightland mix up in there. Take that Necron booty. And you'll notice how on this particular Mini, I don't know if this is a feature of a lot of the new Necron stuff or it's just he's an HQ. He's got this kind of double armoured thigh. Just invested in plastic tubs for my basing sands and aggregates. In a few weeks, everyone gets a nice little stackable storage tub with their orders. Dude. That's good. That's good. That'll help him go in my drawer a little easier, I'm not going to lie. See? Always innovating. Always caring about that customer service. You need a Rival Crafts jingle. Desperately. Like, get on that stat. Another little happy, little American-style commercial jingle going on. Good evening. How's it going, man? Just get in there on these feet. He's got nice dirty feet. Do his outside leg, not inside leg. Trying to leave as much of the paint off of the cape as possible. I don't want about a little bit of shadow getting on the inside there, because I'm going to wash this predominantly with brown and black washes. So it doesn't matter if some of this overspray gets on there. We'll even put a little bit up here. Not enough to tint it too much, but just enough to just darken the colour down a little. But let's save ourselves the time of repainting a lot of that later on by doing it this way. Now, for the torso, we want to get right into his pits, basically. I'm going to darken those areas down because they'll be in the majority shadow. We want to leave quite a lot of the chest where we can get some nice highlights on it. So let's leave the start of the rib cage untouched by this. It's not a bad base silver. That's the Vallejo Model Air Silver. So really, really good bright silver color. Here's Sarah. I'm doing well, mate. How about you? I try to do what you do, high PSI and pump the trigger, but no matter what I do, I make spider webs and I get a wide cone. So you've got to move the trigger like the tiniest amount. There is probably back to forward. I don't want to do it sort of charge the nozzle with paint. Back to forward, there's probably about 6 mil of movement, right? I'm probably using less than 1 millimeter of actual pull every time. So we're in nice and tight. We've got full power, yeah, and we're just, you can barely see, you know, how far back the trigger goes, and that's what starts getting in there. Once you start getting a bit more confident, then you can start working just a little bit further to speed things up for yourself. But to begin with, just go real slow, man. Just get your eye in with it. But we've demonstrated it's not about paint consistency. We've had the thinnest possible paint, acrylic ink mixed with flow improver, coming out of the airbrush, this close to something, without spider webs, at extremely high PSI for an airbrush. So that immediately rules out it being an issue of pressure, and it immediately rules out it's an issue with too thin paint. It's just about control at that point. And that's the reality of it, essentially, man. It's just a case of get some more practice going on and give it time. It'll happen. Don't let it frustrate you. It's an art form, right? If everyone could do stuff like this super easily, I wouldn't have a job as a commissioned painter, would I? You know, and I need that. Prime 30 minis, awesome, mate. That's 1 unit of boys, right? Right. On the forearms, for some reason I decided to highlight the front edge of that, which I didn't want to do, so we'll ignore the fact that I have and rescue that with some highlights. And we'll just work in here towards the back. The other thing as well, actually, if you're still getting spider webbing, what it could be is the size of your airbrush needles. This is a 0.35, which is by no means a tiny airbrush at all. This is still quite a chunky airbrush. Very useful for things like primers and varnishes and all that stuff, as well as the detail work that you've seen me do. But if you're rocking like a 0.5, remember, even that 0.15 millimeter difference is going to be quite a lot of difference when you pull that trigger, because the needle's moving the same distance, but the aperture that's around it is going to be letting out more paint. I did see part of the Dark Side teaser trailer, so I've been on a call, finished work, and jumped on a call with a designer who I've been working with for a couple of weeks. We're building an overlay for a table. A physical one, not a graphic design one, not computer stuff, but a acrylic overlay to go onto a 6x4 foot table. I've designed it. All of the design is mine, and it will break down into pieces that are no bigger on any side than 12 inches. So I can pack it up and I can transport it easily. And the purpose of that is that I can take it to tournaments that I am sponsoring. I can take it to friends' houses or whatever to show the new table size. But also there's a load of my own branding on it, clearly. Why would there not be? Right, we need the bottom of the hand, so the top part stays more silver. It's got a dice tray in it. There's areas for D10 dice to sit in that you can count up and down for your score, things like that. Separated into we've got turn, primary, secondaries, 1, 2, and 3. Would you be willing to sell it? We're looking at being able to market it, and I don't yet have a price for that. We've got the prototype price worked out, which is my own one. And then once myself and Adam have sorted that out, then we can look at a price to make them to order. Blaster the Rocket Boy, thanks for that follow, man. Welcome to the stream. And you will be able to paint them yourself. So there's going to be a lot of etching going on into some black acrylic, which will leave a recess that will have my logo on. Now, obviously, I'm going to paint mine. Get the airbrush out. Get the company colours going on. And ensure that what we've got looks baller as fuck. Right, just getting on the face. We're doing the underside of the face predominantly, leaving the top is chrome dome, mostly chrome. But you will have something like that for sale relatively soon. I'm also hoping that the objective markers that we've had designed and we've been looking at are going to be ready relatively soon. These were always going to be designed for the ITC missions in mind. That just means that they are 9th edition compatible. So it's 3 inches of the edge of the objective rather than the center. So they're absolutely perfect for the new missions from GW, which literally everyone will be playing. Every tournament, pretty much everywhere in the world, is going to be playing using these rules. So, hoping to have them out. I was really hoping to have them out by now, but it looks like it's going to be another couple of weeks, unfortunately. Right, these areas are going to leave mostly silver, but what we will do is just on this recess here, where we've got a little bit of a crease, we'll start building up a little of this darker brown. So it's just carefully going back and forth, getting those passes down, gently building that colour up till it starts to come through, and then just evening that out so it only hits that recess. So look at how subtle that colour is there. So in comparison to some of the bits on his chest, around his head, so on and so forth, right? Let's do this side now. I'm hoping as well, after we've done this weekend's stream and got that out of the way. Oh, breathe hole! He's getting his sub. Dude, thank you very much. How you doing? Much appreciated, man. Yeah, I hope once we got this weekend's festivities out of the way, I can start working on some designs for dice and a t-shirt. And what I'd like to do with both of those two things is essentially do like a month-long pre-order. So very similar to the way Hellstorm Wargaming are doing their current t-shirt offering. Do a month-long pre-order, get everyone sorted out, then do the orders and have it shipped either directly from the manufacturer to yourselves or from the manufacturer to me and then via me to yourself. So should be some cool Mohawkminiatures merch coming in soon. So what we're doing with this little bit of cape that looks like those sort of toilet chain curtains you get in kitchens, which is not a good look, Mr. Necron. You're not really a man of the times. Just feathering in a little bit of this shade towards the top to darken some of that down. We're not looking to make it brown, we're just darkening it down a little bit. Nothing crazy. And make it even darker towards the very top. And then on the inside, we'll do the same thing, just shoot in, get that nice and dark, because obviously that's out of any real light source. Boom. So right at the top of that, nice and dark, but still quite silver on the way down. Like I said earlier, I'm going to be using just some inks, some washes to help pick up those details. Darken down the center spots on the arms, front of his forearm, His elbow joint here, armpits again. And all I'm doing here is really just using whatever's left in the airbrush more than anything else, but I'm just applying that extra pass to get just even more contrast out of this, really darken those places down. So let's zoom right into this guy now. So you guys have seen the GW crons, we've seen a lot of those, and we've got obviously my finished cron just here. Obviously we've got a load of OSL done on one of them, but there's, other than that, not a humongous difference between the two. So if you wanted to have something that just, you know, you could get on a table, you just bought your Indomitus box, that's kind of close, yeah? Because of the way that we've produced the rest of the shades on with the zenithal highlights, the undershading using that darker silver, you've already got a set of lights and shadows on the Mini. So if all you wanted was like a rough approximation of Necrons are good, here we go, out the door, sorted, right? Just sorted. Ringsting, how you doing, buddy? Oh, dude. That would have put you probably about 12, 15 miles away. What was I doing last weekend? Last weekend I was painting Aeronautica Imperialis stuff for Ringsting. Been working on those in the very small amount of spare time I've had this week. Hasn't been much at all, which has been annoying as, and I've got none this weekend, so I'm hoping tomorrow night, after appearing on the Friendly Fire Fridays show that the Alliance Open host on their Twitch, going to be turning up on the show at around 7:15 UK time. Matt Yee! Dude, how you doing? Thank you very much for that raid. That is a big raid as well. Let's get some hype in the stream for Matt and his community. Absolute boss. Thank you, sir. For those of you who just joined in with Matt, we're painting Necrons. Fifth teacher, thank you for that follow. Here is one I did earlier. So this is the new Games Workshop cron scheme on a death mark. This is the extremely tall Royal Warden who, holy shit, is on a set of stilts. Like, that guy's got legs. Definitely. And so far, we've gotten to the stage where we're just applying our brown, custom-made Rightland Flesh Shade-esque mix. So if you guys want to find out how that mix was done, go and watch the YouTube VOD that will be up probably tomorrow. But it is my fake Rightland, which is very close, if I'm honest, it's really close once it's dried, to Games Workshop's Rightland Flesh Shade. This is made of 24 drops of Flow Improver, 5 drops of Rhinoxide from GW, 6 drops of Bogran Brown from P3. There's probably a Games Workshop colour that's close to this you could use. And then 1 drop of Fire Red, and it actually has to be Fire Red, and it has to be Rhinoxide. I tried a couple of different browns and a couple of different reds. This contains red, this is a particular shade of red, and that's what makes it work. This just helps give it the body that we need it to be and stops it being super, super dark. Lets the red come out and play a bit. So that's it for the airbrush for a while. Next time I use the airbrush, we'll be working on the OSL. So I'm going to pop that off to one side, grab ourselves our wet palette, because next up is a load of washing and then blocking in a little bit of some base colors. Oh, damn, I need a new wet palette sheet. This one's full. Come here, tweezers. Let's get that in there. Secret stash of wet palette sheets, which are just now disappearing off the back of my desk. That's good. Do I thin shades? Oh, you bet we do, mate. You bet we do. The rule of thumb is, like, be prepared to thin whatever you're using to make sure that it is appropriate for the job that you're doing. With what? Water. Feels a little bit like that Simpsons episode where Marge is looking in Ned's fridge. It's like, fill me with what? Duh. Wow. But there's a lot of things you could have used, but I use water. Quick note on that, the army painter shades are a little bit hydrophobic, but if you really mix them, it works absolutely spot on. And that is what we're going into next. So we've got ourselves some strong tone, and we've got ourselves some dark tone. And whilst we get this mini washed, let's have a bit of a shout out for Matt Yee again. And Matt, what were you working on today? Tell us about your stream. We'll start off with the strong tone, I think, actually. So let's get a decent amount of that down on the palette. Grab brush. So I told you when you thin a shade, it doesn't go well. I mean, that might have been true for them, but painting is like everything else in life. What works for one person may not work for you, and what works for you may not work for somebody else at all. You've just got to find your way, and we talk about this a lot. You've got to find your path. So, Matt, I mean, I am one of those plebs. I just happen to have a couple of friends in low places that can hook a brother up, you know? I'm not going to say that I unofficially work for these people several times a year, helping them out with events and things like that. So, god damn it, I earned this shit. But I earned this shit. So, just adding water into our strong tone till we get it to the right kind of consistency that we want it. In fact, let's do this on camera so you guys can see what's going on. So this is it, like raw, essentially. And then we're just adding in a little bit more and more water. We've got something that's got a nice bit of flow to it. Yeah, we're not looking for pure transparency. Otherwise, we'd use a different product entirely. But this is pretty damn good. Criminal Enterprise. No. Can I paint my Space Marines green with blue shoulder pads and play them easy? Right. Here's the thing. You can paint Space Marines any colour you want. It doesn't matter. You can paint Orcs any colour you want. You can paint Necrons any colour you want. As long as it's not the exact same colours as a official colour scheme. So if you were to paint your Marines bright blue with gold trim on the shoulder pads and white U's on their shoulders, then they're Ultramarines. That's it. And a lot of events that you'll go to will have a rule that if your army is painted a specific way, and it's not every event, but some, if your army is painted a specific way, then you play it as that. So if you've painted, even by accident, Ultramarines, then your army is Ultramarines. But if you've painted your army blue with gold shoulder pad trim, but their chapter symbol is a flaming skull with lightning being spat out of its mouth, respect. They're not Ultramarines. And they can be anything. So you can take that to a table and go, here are my white scars. They're not white. They've got scars. So you can do that. That's no issue. So if you want to paint your Marines green and blue and tell everyone they're Ultramarines, that's fine. Technically speaking, they're not Ultramarines. They're a successor chapter at best. But no one really gives a fuck about stuff like that when it gets to a tournament. They're Ultramarines. It's cool. Right, what we're doing with this wash is we are doing a bit of a glaze. So let's get a piece that we can work on here. So look at his hand. We're going to draw the brush from the brightest point on the hand, which is where that silver is at the top, down towards the darkest point, which is where the brown is at the bottom. Okay, and what it's going to do is going to tint that a little bit. It's going to help just bring our shades across, and it's going to also make sure that anything like this, where it meets another area, has a wash on it, and starts to bring that detail back out. If you look at this leg, yeah, we start to get some of those details coming through just by doing this. This doesn't take long at all. You've got to do all of the mini. And I know we said we're airbrushing this so we can speed up. We're not having to do so many washes and things like that. But you're going to have to do one. Because when you paint with an airbrush, I've said this many times, you are applying a single value of paint across the entire area that airbrush is interacting with. So it doesn't matter that there's a recess there on the mini. The airbrush doesn't know and doesn't care, and it knows that you're going to have to go back in with some washes. It cares about that because it's laughing at you. It's going, yeah, look at that fade. Yeah. Pin wash this motherfucker. That's what the airbrush is doing to you. So you still have to get your washes down. So you're always going to get one down anyway. Why don't we turn that wash, instead of it being like 3 stages of washing, into a glaze, which helps us get the detail we need, so using that almost wash technique, but also that one cool guy 19, thank you for the follow. I'm assuming the other 18 were also cool as well though. And Janelson, 14 months. 14 months. What a boss. What a boss. This is the definition of an old schooler right here, folks. Been here since the start. How you doing, Janelle? So like I said, you're going to have to get a wash on here anyway. Well, I'll do 2 things at once. Vindy Titan, 1988. Thank you for that sub. For those of you that have subbed, exclamation point win, exclamation point mystery. These are both good commands for you. I'll tell you a lot about the giveaways that we do here. I'm going to talk about one of those after we've gotten the washes down. So we've got one more wash to do on this as well in a second. And we'll give them some drying time naturally while we have a chat about our giveaways. So many subs, dude. I am always in awe. Always in awe. Especially people like Rutang that just rock up and go, here's 10 people having a sub. They can all enjoy your community a little bit more, get those emotes being played with and all that sort of stuff. It's very humbling. And to see people like Janelle, who have been here for over a year, still putting up with my bullshit. Amazing. Pro Jam, how you doing, fella? So let's get a nice solid brown wash now in all of these recesses. We can just flood that area a little bit because we don't have to worry too much about a blend on that. You won't see any of it. And that is all of them done apart from the head, the cape, and the shoulders. Now on the shoulders, we just put this little shade in here. What we're going to do with this is glaze our wash down even further. So we're working with a definite brown glaze now, not really a wash. And we'll just do a little of this. Now what this will do is, as that drains down through gravity, it will help to provide a little bit more darkness towards the bottom. Just tint that top area a little bit more than it already is. And that helps give us a transition that not only comes in from the sides now, which is what we did with the airbrush, but also works top to bottom. So it's darker here than it is up here, which is exactly what we want. For the face, for these shoulders up here, we'll get all of these. We'll get into all of this recessed area. And on these bits, which are going to be done as ornamentation, so will be highlighted up with silver, we'll get all of that We want that sort of shell, that field that they're in, to be nice and dark in comparison to the silver, so it really stands out. But by the fact we've done it with this wash instead of this, it will look different, and it will give us a little bit of variation on the mini, whilst also retaining that very, very strict color palette we're using. I completely missed it. Oh, nice. Nice, love that VW, man. AJC, how you doing? Odin's Wolf, hey, what's good? Everything's good, man. How about you? We're painting Necrons. We're painting the new GW style color scheme that they've got going on. We're showing you guys how to do it in a pretty quick way. We're even going to get that OSL going on later on. All the green. All the green. So we're just quickly brushing a very thinned version of this. Not the same kind of glaze that we had up here. Just a little thicker than that, but thinner than our wash. Just over the top of these. And the reason it's so thin is because we don't want to change the color of these too much. And we're applying a black wash over the top of this in a bit as well. So that will really like amp it up. We just want to get into all of those bits of detail. So all the little joins where one of these chain links meets the other one and gets fused in there. We want all that detail. We need that detail. There we go. Cool. So that is our brown wash. Now we've got a black wash to do. This one is, of course, dark tone for the eye painter. This is going on everything else, pretty much. Now, it doesn't matter if some of this gets mixed in with that brown. It really, really doesn't. Because this guy's got that worn, battle damaged, absolutely been through the ringer look to him. Which means that he's going to be dirty as well. So we'll get the bits of the feet that we didn't paint before. That one will blend in a little bit more because I could do with a bit more shading underneath that click. We'll do all of these struts. Now what we want to do with these is make sure we don't flood that recess between like the tibula and fibula, I want to say. I might be wrong on that one. They don't know all the technical words for bones. We don't want to flood it, but we do want to make sure we get a nice dark recess in there. Anywhere we've got a little bit of battle damage, let's peek that out. We're just adding in a little bit extra wash, darken that down for us. Any of these bits, which are going to be silver, let's make sure we give them a wash. So that includes the blades. And we'll get all the front of that. We'll do all the front of this bit silver. We're going to do all of the body of the gun black. So we'll paint that on and base coat that and highlight it quick in a bit. But for now, let's get all of these done. Now, it doesn't matter again if this looks a little bit scraggly, but equally, don't let this happen. Yeah, just wick that away. I know there's some battle damage there, but that was too much in that spot. So just come back, maybe add in a little bit as and where you need, but don't let massive pools of wash happen to your mini. That is a no-no. It looks terrible is the only real reason for it. So let's do the arm bones, which are connected to the wrist bone, which is connected to the hand bone and the finger bones. Let's make sure we get all of those. Let's make sure the music keeps going. There we are. Nothing I've missed in the chat. Cool. Let's do the elbows. And look, you'll see we're now getting this wash starting to mingle, make friends with, and have a little bit of fun with that brown wash we put down earlier on. Same as up here in his armpits. Because those washes are both wet. And that's totally, totally fine, because it's going to give us a bit of variation. Anyone that's seen me painting rust, my patented shitty rust technique, we'll know that we like to get our washes having a bit of a play with each other. Because when they do, you're going to get a better result by the end of it. There's more variation. There's more things going on. Parts of the mini look a lot more interesting. Just making sure we've hit all the joints. Front, haven't done the knee on this side, that's right. Right, for the head. Again, don't let this pull in the recesses. You want it to get in there and give you that detail. Don't want to flood anything. So we applied a fair amount of wash because we want it to drain down underneath his chin, that exposed neck that he's got there. And make sure that's nice and dark. Certainly the sides of the head, don't let massive, great big pools form like this in the temples. Matty and Chains! Dude, thank you for that sub. Much appreciated, brother. Let's wick that away. Leave a little bit in there. Just bringing out some of the extra shape of his head. Not gargantuan pools of this stuff. Doesn't look good. Obsidian! Thanks for that follow, man. Welcome to the stream. Right, let's do his spine. Nice and quick. We've got the metal bit just at the bottom of here. For the cables, I saw this on somebody's Immortals at one point. I thought it looked great, so I'm going to steal it. I'm going to paint two of them black, and then the thick one in the middle, that one's going to be green. Kets! Dude, I am so pumped for the weekend. Exclamation point weekend. Oh, yeah! It's going to be good, man. In front of me right now, we've got Scorpec Lord. He's fully assembled because sub-assemblies was not really an option on this guy. But what an absolute weapon this guy is. He's going to be in dark blues, oranges, red and white details. He is going to look exactly like Gypsy Danger from Pacific Rim. The Judicia is currently in 4 bits. Because he is okay for sub-assemblies. He's going to be painted like an Ultramarine because that is what the community voted for. Don't blame me for painting a goddamn Smurf. 45% of you voted to have the Smurf. 45%. On the shoulders, notice how what we're not doing is an all-over wash on these. We're getting into all these bits of battle damage first. We're just darkening those down. And then what we're going to do is glaze this black ink, it's basically what strong tone is, right out. And then we'll do the same as we did with the brown there, but at this kind of flared end of the shoulder pad. So we're going on really thin. It doesn't matter too much if this pulls a little bit, because this is a natural shadow anyway. But just by adding that tiny, tiny thin glaze, look at the way that reacts. Just gravity starts pulling that down, thins it out. All you got to make sure is that the bottom doesn't have a massive, massive pool on it. So this one here does a little bit because there's some battle damage there. So we'll just gently remove some of that and let that dry. Got one thing left to do before we go on to talking about this month's giveaways. And that is, of course, give this cape another bit of love with this black wash now, going over the brown. So we're getting those nice colour mixes going on. I'm going to do some of those green as well, I think. Not all of them, definitely, otherwise what was the point in doing everything we've just done to this area of the mini. But certainly some of them, just to give us a little bit of variation, a little bit of interest on the cape. It doesn't look like the rest of him. And he's a Royal Warden. He deserves a little bit of bling. Obsidian, I am so happy that you said that. That's amazing. Thank you. So this is about an hour's work with chatting, which means really it's half an hour's work. Okay? I did this guy quick because he's not a character, and the whole thing took 45 minutes. No real care, no real attention paid, just get it on the mini, away we go as a test. This guy's got a lot more detail, he'll take longer, but we will get him finished tonight. Is this a new Necron? This is definitely a new Necron. This is the new Royal Warden, and this guy is a boss. Obsidian, exclamation point YouTube. You're going to watch the VOD on YouTube probably tomorrow, by the time it's uploaded and encoded and all the other mystical internet things it does. Hercel Cero gifting that gift sub to Crownblade. Crownblade, let me give you your meeps. But it will show you just how quick we managed to get this done. There's been a lot of airbrushing. That's kind of par for the course for this channel. We do a lot of airbrush. But it's a very, very quick scheme. It's basically 2 silvers, some browns, some washes. On we go. How much do you have to pay for it? Well, you have to be here over the weekend, Smithy. So, exclamation point weekend, get some info. Also, I'm pretty sure you've done this already, but exclamation point box as well. Do both of these 2 things. You could win an entire Indomitus box of your own. And you could possibly win either of these 2 minis painted by me and the rest of that faction brand new on sprue. It could happen. So, now we're going to talk quickly while that dries about this month's giveaways. We've just gone through very quickly this weekend. We're painting the Judicia as an Ultramarine, as voted by you guys. The Scorpeth Lord is being painted in a Gypsy Danger inspired paint scheme. Oh, I can't wait. The orange we do his claws, his weapons, the glowing vents in his chest. Oh, it's going to be amazing. I can't wait. The Judicia can bin off. Really want to paint that guy. Both of those will be painted between 10 a.m. Saturday morning and whatever time we finish Sunday night. I'm hoping 11, but the prize draw to win those happens at 11 o'clock in the evening on Sunday night. You will have all weekend to buy raffle tickets. Instructions for how to do that will be in the stream. There'll be a command on the board. They'll be spammed quite a lot. Everyone will know how to get their tickets bought. 1 ticket equals £1. If you buy 3, you get 1 free. If you buy 10, we give you 5 free. So get your tickets in for £1. For £1, you could win a commission character piece, which for the Scorpeth Lord would be around the £150, £180 mark. For the Judicia, about 120 to 150. Plus a boatload of Marines and Crons from that box. For £1 if you're that lucky. Not to mention this month, as always, we're giving away our £50 gift voucher. Pearl Jam being gifted us up. Let me give you your meeps. So next Thursday, which is the final stream night of the month for us, we're going to give away a £50 hobby voucher. You'll need your meeps to buy that. So when you're doing the donations over the weekend to buy those raffle tickets, that will give you meeps just by watching the stream. That gives you meeps by subbing, gifting subs, not cheers. Cheers don't. No cheers. But the normal stuff you do on Twitch, that gives you meeps. You'll use your meeps to buy tickets to win that £50 voucher. So game on for that. We also, exclamation point mystery, give away a mini every month that's painted by me. Now, last month, the winner was Peckish Fox, a streamer here on Twitch, and he asked that we paint him Ragnar Blackmane. That was one of the 3 minis that were up for grabs. He's a Space Wolf fan. He loves his Space Wolves. This is going on display in his living room. So we went ham. We did icicles on the base, snow effects, an amazing job, if I do say so myself, on Ragnar. Samundo getting his sub in. Thank you very much, dude. So that was last month's giveaway prize. That's a solid one. That is a good one. This month, you have a choice of 3 minis. Again, you can choose to have the Obliterator. Now, that doesn't sound so glamorous in connection to Ragnar, but just think. Currently, the only way to get one of these is by spending 65 quid on the Start Collecting set. This is a good price. You know, everyone wants 3. They don't want 4. They get 2 out of 1 set or out of Shadow Spear. They just want 1 more. We'll paint this in whatever Legion colors you decide. Or you could choose the Bloodball Minotaur, which is personally one of my favorite minis from this range. I love it. Obviously good for Blood Bowl. Loads of teams will take the Minotaur. Sigma, your D&D campaigns, whatever it is that you do, this guy could be a part of it. I know at least one person in the chat that's desperately wanting this. If neither of those 2 minis catch your fancy though, we have the mystery box. Now in the mystery box, there's a mini. The only thing that you guys know is that the mini and whatever number of sub-assemblies may be needed fits entirely within this box. This is not the biggest box in the world, but it's a large enough box. You can get a lot of minis in that. So somewhere in here is a mini. But you don't know what it is. It could be limited edition minis. It could be an Armiger. It could be 40k stuff. We've got like Harlequins, Voldus. We've got some Warcry stuff. We've got some. We got the Grot, the limited edition dude from Christmas. We've got some Warhammer Underworld stuff. We've got some Blood Bowl stuff. But it could equally just be some scenery. A Scarab, a Ripper, a Grot, not Makari. So it's a gamble if you go for the box. It makes it exciting, alright? So that's the giveaways that we're doing this month. We've got a 3rd place prize for definite over the weekend stream, which is the Crusade book. We should have a 4th place prize, but I'm not sure if we do or not, so you'll have to bear with us on that. Right, is this guy dry? Very nearly, so we've got time to paint the black before he is dried. Hicko! How you doing, brother? How you doing? How do you enter? So for the mystery giveaway and for the £50 voucher giveaway, that competition happens on the last stream day of the month, which this month is next Thursday. So a week today, you'll have all night to enter. The draw usually happens at around 11:30 for the voucher. After we conclude our stream boss contest, whoever's a stream boss gets 10k meeps. I can do a lot with a Grot, man. Don't you worry. I am Toti. Thank you for that follow. I have a Grot I really want to paint as well, so it could be the thing in the box. You don't know. You just don't know. Alright, going to get all this black laid down nice and quick. We'll then give this guy a quick blast with a hairdryer to seal all this in. And then away we go. This pipe will be green. That one in the background will not be, and I'll just give that a quick wash now before we forget, because we did earlier on. Parathenia! Nick, how you doing, man? There we go. Let's not forget that. Back to the black. That bit could be silver. No, that could be black. Fuck it. Just a tiny bit of silver there would look really out of place. So yeah, next Thursday, you've got loads of time to get involved in that. Just tune in on the night. You have to be here to be able to enter. That's the only rule. We do not do the no shirt, no shoes rule. I can't take my shirt off on Twitch. That's a definite. Bloodwalker, yes it is, man. This is the Royal Warden, who is pretty key to a 9th edition Necron army from the sounds of it. This dude allows you to break the rules of the game. Anything in 40k that allows you to break the rules is very powerful. There are a lot of different things in the game that have different interactions with the rules than other stuff. So look at things like Titanic units, We get fall back and shoot. We get to walk over minis and stuff like that. This is very powerful. This is not your usual guy's ability. This guy with fall back and shoot, in an addition where you're on smaller board sizes and Necrons like being in a kind of mid-range field position. Yeah, okay. This is good. This is good. So this guy's my own personal Necron army. We will be painting them up as the Necrons because why not? I don't dislike the scheme. As we've proven tonight, it's quite quick. It still looks good. And that's why he's not glued to the base as well. I have no idea what I'm going to do for my basing scheme yet. So we've left that entirely for now. So there's a few bits there that will need a second coat, but that's fine. We'll come back to them. Let's do these pipes. Get all these blocked in nice and quick. And then obviously at the weekend to get your tickets in that raffle, to make sure you've got the opportunity to win that Judiciar and Scorpeth Lord. You'll be able to buy those tickets all the way up to about 11 PM on the Sunday, so you have plenty of time. Goblin Green will never ever feature on a base of one of my dudes. Neither will any base room that isn't black. Bloodwalker, thanks for that follow, man. Kind of weird seeing Kronk with that green polymer tube. Fuck that tube, man. Oh, that's a hobby crime. I disagree with anything that isn't like basing particulate pigments, which are paints anyway. Disagree with anything being on a mini that isn't painted. Everything should be painted. Appreciate the Ragnar I just showed you had those resin icicles and stuff on the base. Obviously, that's the exception to stuff like that. But that's, again, basing material and particulate. That's the one thing you can do. Maybe use some of the Necromunda bases. I like them, they're cool, but do I want to buy an army and then buy another set of bases for the army when I've already got my Tau on custom bases, my Grey Knights on custom bases, my Knights are homemade custom bases, where you basically buy a fuck ton of scenery, and there's your basing scheme. So, yeah, unsure about that. I think we'll probably just make our own. And I'm thinking of doing a load of like Necron crystals and stuff like that, which we'll airbrush up and get on a base looking kind of spiffy. So just flashing over some of this where it was a little bit thin and needs that extra bit of reinforcement. So up here you can see we've got a lot of that silver showing through. I'm not surprised by that because this area being right at the top of the gun and pointing directly upwards obviously received a pretty hefty dose of that Vallejo silver, right? So no surprises there, but the second coat, as you can see, takes almost no time whatsoever. Let's just grab these again. Boom, happy days. Staying busy, keeping moving. We're all good. Right, next step. Now you've got all of those inks dried, the washes. We need to get some highlights done. So let the gun dry before we get the highlights on that. And for that, we'll be using some Glaze. There we go. Which we've got 2 GW ones. We've got Shin Grey and Administratum Grey. But for the silver on this guy's body, we're going to use the silver we used through the airbrush. Now, this will look ever so slightly brighter than the airbrush has allowed it to be earlier on. Because we're putting it on thicker through a brush. That's the way it works. It's just the way. Do some half in the Necron architecture, concealed under the dirt, becoming alive, Tombwood reactivates. That sounds cool. That sounds a bit more like what I'd like to do as a basing scheme. We could be down for that. So, As always, we'll start at the bottom and work upwards. So here, we've just got a big toe, because all Necrons have got a big toe. And then the single other... Well, I suppose the single other bit, which is the rest of his toes, is the big toe, because by nature there's only two, and that one's larger than that one. But now we start to do the highlights. And you guys know what I'm like. We don't do needless highlights everywhere. But we need to get, certainly, the outside edges of a lot of this stuff. We've got a lot of shape that we need to bring back into this because of that very sort of monotone color scheme we've got. There's also, as you can see here, loads of little bits of battle damage, which we'll put a highlight on the underside of. Very thin. Keep it controlled, because that's going to give us that extra little bit of contrast, that extra little bit of interest on our mini. I'm going to thin this down with a little bit of water as well. Foot mittens, yes. Talk about Necron anatomy, classic even with J. Dude, we haven't even got to the bit that goes. That's the voice box up here, by the way, before any dirty bastard makes any reference to something else. So a bit more battle damage there. Let's get this highlight in. Boom. Now, where we've got all of the joints of his armor and all of things like the ankles and so on, these obviously got covered with some overspray earlier on, but that's totally fine, because remember, one of the things that we did was allowed the washes to kind of play with each other a little bit on the model, which means that we can just highlight this and it stands out enough. It's not completely alien to the rest of the mini at all. It fits. It makes sense that it's that color. So we found a way of cheating a little bit and allowing our overspray to become part of the mini, regardless of the fact it wasn't intentional. So with these struts, we're just painting the outside. We're leaving that dark recess in the middle there. That's going to help that recess look even darker by comparison. So now we're getting that absolute dark next to absolute light from our contrast. For this Shin Guard, let's do all around the top, because that's where the light would be hitting it. I suppose Shin Guard, it's kind of his knee pad, but not on his knee. It's weird. It's weird talking about Necron bits because they're not actually in the right places. Because that's his shin. We've got some battle damage, so again, let's just get some little highlights just underneath those little bits. Like so. So we're now getting more of those little interesting areas going on. Thought it was a noise from your compressor. No, that was silence, actually. No noise! Cleaned that. I spent about 20 minutes cleaning that on my lunch break today. That was, in fact, the majority of my lunch break was cleaning the compressor. That panicked the living crap out of me. When that stopped working, I was like, right, I'm done. I'm done. Parthenia, this is my own recipe, man. My own recipe. No new GW stuff. It's not needed. Don't need any of that stuff at all. We painted our test model, this guy, about 2 weeks ago. You know, so, like, we didn't have any of the new Necrons by that point. None at all. Right, there's a nice raised area here, so we get a little highlight on there. Some battle damage just in there as well, so we'll just pick that out a little bit. But we're not too worried about getting highlights in on most of these bits, because A, it's his junk, and it's kind of hidden behind the gun, and it's in shadow anyway, so why would you need to? But also, it doesn't really need them. So I'm just applying a little bit to like the pelvis bone that he's got. And then a little bit around like the top of things like this thigh guard and so on. That's all we'll do for the inside of his legs. There's no need, you just won't see it. Let's not do highlights just for the sake of doing highlights, right? This is a quick scheme designed to get your army on the table nice and quickly with a minimum of fuss. And I'd say that anyone who's got an airbrush and is competent with it, which is about half the chat actually, which is nice. I'm not lying either. We've got a really talented group of people here. It means that you guys can get like all of your infantry done one weekend, say, all of your characters base coated the next weekend, and then just spend time giving them that extra bit of love, getting those details going on, really making them into something special. Tiny bit of our damage, let's just pull that out. And then again, on these struts, we'll just paint essentially the entire strut. A little bit around the feet, an ankle joint. Most of this is hidden, but we've still got plenty of room to get these highlights in. Little one around the back of his ankle there. Mohawk cam, are we a little bit like this? Apologies. Happens when we get really into a paint job. Like when we get really excited, the Mohawk quivers a little bit. I will trim it tomorrow night, so hopefully when we do this, you won't see it. We also have black shiny armor but can't find the right method. Well, tune in this weekend because this guy is a chaplain and we'll have black armor that we're going to do ever so slightly differently to how I normally do it. We've stolen some inspiration from Damien Pedley, who's frequently in the chat. So Damien, if you are listening in, just lurking in the background, which I would not put past you at all, we're going to take the black that he uses, and essentially it's the same as the black I do, but with much, much smaller areas of highlight, so it just stays darker overall. And that's the inspiration we've taken from Pedders. We'll see how that goes on. Right, is that the legs done? We've got a bit on this thigh to do from the back side. So we've got a nice highlight here. We can get on the pelvis, get all these bits. Obsidian, another question, just because I'm still curious. What's your airbrush paint sprayer? So I use an Iowata Eclipse HPCS. So if you know anything about airbrushes, that will tell you quite a lot. If you don't, basically it's a really, really good make. Iowata is a solid brand name. They produce some really, really bulletproof stuff for both our industry, so just regular painters and mini painters, all the way up to professional grade tools for airbrush artists doing things like large portraits, graffiti, art, where it's obviously not spray cans on a wall, but like actual art. Not to diminish anything they do, what they do is definitely art, but I mean like in a studio, on a canvas, or on a wall in a studio, not outdoors. Different discipline of the same art, I should say. Get a couple quick highlights on this because we've got a wash on there that will turn to the surface. But they do stuff all the way up to super, super high quality, tiny needles and all that sort of stuff for it. Why not just fit a GoPro to your Mohawk and use that for streaming? Because it would constantly be doing this all over, and you'd all get seasick. All of you would get seasick. Nobody wants that shit at all. Right, highlighting the edge of the hand, and there's a tiny crack here in his armor, so we'll just get a little highlight on that as well. So again, we're just trying to find little areas of interest. Now you can, obviously, with a mini that's had sculpted battle damage like this, just look for those areas and paint around those. That's absolutely fine. That's what we're doing. But if you've accidentally, and it should be an accident, you should be able to control this sort of stuff quite easily. Oh, that bit's meant to be black. If you've accidentally let your wash go on an area a little bit too thick, battle damage hides that hobby crime. Because you just paint where that dark stain is, you paint a little horizontal line underneath it, and so that dark stain looks like a dent. try and avoid it from happening. Like I said, you guys should be able to control that. It's really simple. That's just straight up brush control. Nothing crazy, no advanced techniques, just being aware of what's going on and where the tip of your brush is. And if you're a brand new painter, that's the thing you should focus on more than anything else. Controlling this. It should be an extension of yourself. Daniel's son, it should be part of your body. Get the old Kung Fu movie going on in a minute and really sell that. Right, I'm going to do a little highlight here. Now here is where we've got the most of our shadow. We put a wash into this area and we put extra paint through the airbrush to darken this area down. Just here we want to highlight. And the reason for that is we start to lose the shape if we don't. So we just need a skinny little highlight there. It helps emphasize the shadows that are going on around this elbow joint he's got. For the same reason, we're going to do one here. But it needs to be thin, because if it's not, suddenly from a distance you lose all of that definition. It needs to just be there. It should be part of your arm. Suddenly we went to pirate, I don't know why. Right, we've got an hour left to finish this guy. Should be okay. We've got a little bit of green to paint, got a little bit of black to highlight. And then that's it. We're not basing him. Like I said, all the basing is going to be left for another day because I don't know how I'm going to base my Necrons, but I will make my own custom bases for them. Or commission someone like Lee, who is the Johnsonator in chat, to do it, because he does a great job of stuff like that. There you go. So you've got those ribs pre-highlighted. That's going to have some OSL on it later on. Let's get this shoulder pad trim. Let's get in here again. Nice slim line on this. It's got some battle damage here, so the underside. And you always do the underside because that's where the light would hit. If that had been dug into the armor, if that had been like a actual dent, that's the point that would catch the light, is the underside. And I just realized we've got all that cape to do, which we need to rattle through quickly to be able to keep on schedule. So maybe we won't do any of those green, maybe we'll just do more silver for now. Get these bits done. Got a very badly damaged hand. Clearly, someone tried to take away one of his weapons. It didn't work. Right. Let's do the cape last. Let's get all the rest of this done first, because now he's starting to look cool as, and I really want that face to start jumping out. Ever thought on assembling a mini including gluing live on stream? No. I actually even said on stream, while somebody who was in the chat who predominantly was doing assembly as their stream, so I felt a bit bad afterwards, but equally I kind of didn't, because I meant what I said. I think it's absolutely dull as dishwater. I can't understand anyone wanting to watch somebody glue together and meticulously file down mold lines on a mini. I don't get it at all. If you want a tutorial on how to do it, here it is. Buy some of these sanding sticks. They're great. This one's like 300 grit, so it's really, really, really fine. Take a mini, do this at the edges. Ta-da! There's no secret in it, mate. Just keep looking for mold lines. If you can see a mold line, keep doing some filing. If there are no more mold lines, stop filing. If there's no detail left, you've gone too far. That's kind of it though, man. I'm super not interested in doing that kind of stream. I know people that do, and that's great. And if there are people that love watching that sort of stuff, cool, I guess. It's not for me though. It's like there are millions, if not billions, of people in the world that love nothing more than sitting down and watching the footy. I can't stand it. I'd rather get shot. Maybe like an arm, not like the stomach, but just. Oh. Nah, it's not my bag. That's all it is. It's just not for me. Right, on the head, we're going to do this bit in the middle, green, remember. So we're not going to highlight that, it's a waste of time us highlighting that. But we will make sure we get some nice highlights on here. I'll even show you guys how to do glowing green eyes in a bit as well, without using an airbrush. So if you ever wanted to do glowing eyes, make sure you stick around. I promise you, it's really, really, really simple. Like 3 strokes of a brush simple. It looks so hard. Because you look at a mini like, oh my god, he's got glowing red eyes on his helmet. That's so cool. 3 brush strokes. Done. Just done. Shoulder pads. Loads of rough area at the edge here. So let's make sure we make a feature out of that and do some vertical strokes in addition to the horizontal ones that follow it. Get some nice sharp edges on this part of his shoulder pad. Nice highlight just up here. So we've basically done all of that leading front edge, right? But that's giving us that brightness up here at the top of the mini. Speaking of brightness, what I am going to do is just, wrong way, adjust the brightness of our camera a little, maybe too far. Just so that we've got a little bit more being showed. It's not all in so much shadow now. Would you use glowing eye Space Marines? Yeah, man. Definitely. I think it looks cool. Some people weirdly just say, no, I don't want it. I just want it to be super clean. But for me, having that ever so slight glow just under here really sells the fact that those helmets have got something powerful inside. I appreciate it's not the marine glowing. It shouldn't even really have a glow because, you know, unless it's uncomfortably bright inside that helmet and that marine's wearing his fucking Ray-Bans underneath the helmet, then it's unnecessary. But rule of cool always wins. Marines are not nice people. They're not even really people. They're definitely not people. Not anymore. Oh, that isn't battle damage. That's like a little recess. I didn't realise. Okay, well, we could do that green. But we're going to run out of time if we start doing little bits like that. So we won't. Not today. Today is all about get this guy looking good. Definitely more than just battle ready. Like, none of that. Looking good so you can get on the table. Right, battle damage here. As before, hit the highlights underneath, even this little doodad, whatever that's meant to be. This guy clearly gets shot in the back a lot. So I'm guessing his mates aren't really his mates for a start. And he is a warden, so he's probably in charge of at least 2 Necrons. And sorry mate, but Steve and Chris both think you're an absolute bar steward. They don't like you. Alright, let's get all of these little bits of damage. There's even a nice vertical one here, so we'll come down on the outside of that. Just because we chose that side. It's difficult with vertical lines to get the under highlight, obviously. But just pick a side and hope that it's the right one. Space Marines are such tragic figures, honestly, they become monsters for the greater good. because alternative is so much worse. Bear in mind, they come from really, really shit backgrounds, right? And we're talking like traditional Marines. They're usually gangers, murderers. They're not nice people at all. But such as in real life, generally to get through special forces training, you've got to have something a little bit out of sync with the rest of the universe in you. When I was I wasn't in the army, I was training for the army. There were a couple of guys that I trained with that were going into the paras, and the one thing they all had in common was they all had pretty shit lives. That was it. They either came from broken homes, or had been homeless for a little bit, or had things that shouldn't happen to children happen to them. And you need that kind of inner toughness to be able to make it through. So Marines are not good guys from birth. Then they're really not good guys. Not lens on the Marine's helmet that's glowing, it's the underneath the lens that's just reflecting that glow. Damn. I can see it on a Libby for sure. Right, cloak, nice and quick. So we want the brighter ones at the bottom, so they'll get the full Monty. The ones towards the top will just do half a Monty, which is that bit. Thicken up some of those lines just down here a touch. So we're just coming in from the side. Keeping the highlights relatively skinny. Don't want to paint this silver, we want the edges to be silver. Like I said, the top getting like the half Monty, the bottom 3 getting all of it. And we're just doing one side for now, and then we'll flick it round and do the other side afterwards. And this way you're changing the angle of your brush a lot less, changing the way the mini's held in your hands a lot less, so you get sped up. That's it. That sounds like common sense, but you'd be surprised how many people will be like, I didn't think of that. I was one of those for about 15 years, so I know it. Special Forces guys are bonkers. Yes, Joey C. Cup, they are. I have a friend that's in the SAS. He's a good guy. Heart of gold. About 70% of the time. And the other 30% of the time gets interesting. So yeah, we don't talk too often, but you know, I'd never ignore him and risk getting on his bad side. He'd fucking show up in my bedroom and wake me up one night. Like, so Joe, we haven't really been talking recently. Right, there we go. Nearly done. And then what we're going to do on the bottom ones to make sure they are even brighter is just on this bottom set, we'll do these highlights as well. So it's not going to register much with the audience, but because there's more bright silver here, they will just be brighter. They won't necessarily understand why, because this highlight's so small, apart from that one, which was a little bit not small at all. That was a bad highlight. Don't highlight like that. Highlight like that or that, perhaps. But just a little bit more highlight on those, just because it gives that extra little bit of ting. The fact that we put in a little bit of our brown up here with the airbrush earlier on, that helps as well. So, next up, highlights on the black. Ooh, we are running late. Need to talk less, paint more. You know he's behind you, right? He's not. He's under the desk at the moment, and that's one of the reasons why that 30% is he's so bad. Right, we've got this to do. We've got some green to do. To be fair, that's it. Should be okay. So we've got some Eshin grey and I've got some Administratum grey. And all we're going to do is just a quick highlight on all of these areas that are remaining black, because you can't leave something just flat black. It has absolutely no interest if you do. You need highlights on stuff. So on the gun, we're just going to get a couple of these areas picked out. This is going to be green, so we're not fussed on that, we're not fussed on this. But these areas are remaining black. Gun sight's black. A little bit of battle damage, that'll be picked up with Administratum grey more than anything else. And this first set of highlights, we're going on relatively fat with them, because it's such a dark grey anyway, and we thinned it. We're basically glazing this highlight in. So as a result, it'll blend in quite nicely with the black. Now when we do the Administratum, so the brighter of the two greys that we've got, we need to make sure that those highlights are small, they are precise, because otherwise they will not look good. Rocky! No such thing as a dry brush, mate. Don't know what you're talking about. Don't know what you're talking about. Get all of those that we can see. There's no point trying to highlight stuff behind there because we can't see it, therefore it's in the shade, therefore it doesn't need a highlight, and so on. Quick tip for anyone that paints in sub-assemblies like I do is make sure that when you are applying your highlights, you're applying them for the right reasons. Don't just highlight everything. So already we can see a lot more going on with the gun. Now let's grab a little of that Administratum. Thin that down though, and this we want to be really careful with our highlights. So just on here, tiny highlight there, tiny highlight there. The reason we're just doing there is a nice bend in the cables here. I didn't glue them down. He's not particularly stable on the base. Although I will admit, actually, this whole snap fit thing they've got going on, this guy I nearly didn't glue together at all. The only reason I did is because the shoulders didn't quite meet together on this one side. That was it. Everything else was fucking perfect. So that they've worked on their snap fit, guys. It's pretty good. It is pretty damn good. Right. This part of the gun. We want highlight in here. And all we're doing is making sure that anything that deviates from the normal boxy shape of this gets a little bit of a highlight, just to help bring out the actual shape and dimension of the weapon. So even that first grey highlight is still very dark, yeah? So don't draw boxes around stuff. Just going to put a quick highlight there to help do the OSL in a bit. Don't draw boxes. Don't do that at all. Just find those tiny bits of edges you're like, that needs a highlight. If I don't put a highlight there, you won't see this part of it, for instance. So don't do all of them. Just do what needs to be done. We've all had that chat before about highlights being that sort of perfectly evolved creature like a shark. Nothing it doesn't need, everything it does. That's what we're aiming for, especially with this lighter highlight. There you go. So, quickly done. But the gun now looks like it's got all the detail available. Rocky, I don't mind you trolling at all, but please make sure that nobody takes the shit that you say as actual advice. Because that would be bad. Right, so far we've done all of that. We only need these left to finish the mini. This is it. So you go back to the airbrush after we've put a quick coat of this down. Well in time. Because they don't know you. They don't know you like I do anyway. Anyway, how you doing, man? How's your new job? Getting on alright? So, I'm going to block in all of these areas with this green. Now we've put it on really, really thin, and you're going to see brush strokes coming through this. It's going to look pretty horrible, and that's totally okay. Because we're going to airbrush over this. All we're doing now is applying ourselves a nice little foundation of this, so we don't have to go as hard with the paint, which allows us to make sure that we're being careful with it. Because when you're doing any kind of object source lighting, or OSL as it's frequently referred to, control is everything. Like, it really, really is. I can't say that enough times. You've got to make sure that everything is in the right place. Now, some of these things, like this pipe and the one that we're going to paint in there, we actually are not going to be doing with the airbrush, because even I don't have the control to just hit that pipe there and not this one fractions of millimeters above it. I don't think anyone could do that at all. 100%, genuinely don't. So those are going to get another pass with the brush, and we'll make sure that they've got a nice solid green coming out of them by the time we've got some brushed highlights going on. So we're using some slightly less thinned paint to hit these areas. And it will take 2 coats. You have to have a little bit of self-respect to be trolled, and I have none. I mean, not complete, at least, you know. What did you say was impossible? You couldn't airbrush this pipe that I'm painting green now without getting any overspray on this one above it. You just couldn't. Milo, you were doing so well for all of the 20 seconds that you kept that up for. Congrats, man. Next time, let's go for a full minute. So this is Warpstone Glow from GW. It's a really, really nice green paint. I like it a lot. It's just got plenty of vibrancy and energy to it, which is something that I really prize in a pigment. Yeah, right, now let's get a little bit on the eyes. So I said earlier on, I'm going to teach you guys how to do glowing eyes, and it takes 3 brush strokes, right? That's obviously per eye, just throwing that out there. So you need some of this that is out of glaze, a little bit thicker than the glaze, but not much. Oh, we did the chest as well, I forgot. And that gets painted underneath the eye. it does not, and I cannot stress this enough, get painted on like this recess that you'd find just underneath the eyeball. It gets painted here, along the top of the line of that cheek. You must leave a dark line in there. Angry Miniature Warthog. Dude, how you doing? Let's get a shout out for this absolute boss. Fellow streamer here on Twitch. How's it going, man? So you've got a little green line underneath his eyes. This one could do it being just extended a little bit more. That's your first brush trick, is just draw a thinned green line underneath the eyes. Is that a Batman coffee cup? Okay. What is that? Paint to flow improver ratio down to mathematical exact. 1:1. I mean, what else you need? I need cheers some. Oh, I see. But it's a Batman coffee cup, which is just awesome anyway. So thank you and cheers, brother. Ooh, went a little bit outside the lines there. Good, I can fix that in a sec. Right, let's grab the hair dryer. Give this a quick drying down. That 1:1 of your pre-mixed paint to flow improver, or offering a pot to flow improver as well. That's my pre-mixed paint. No one should ever build easy to build aggressors because they've got the shittest guns. And yes, that even includes if you're a Salamander player. Because my lord, just know, flame aggressors are shite. Right, any more bits of green? Yes, actually, we've got his ribs and we've got his guts to do. So his guts, we'll do this one cable green and then we'll come back in later on with a wash to just darken down those two metallic tubes that we've got. No. This paint, the flow improver, 1:1. That's now a paint. That's a pre-mixed construct. That's a paint. A little bit overzealous there. Not having the mini completely stuck down to the base, so it's got a little bit of wobble, is not good. But like I said, we haven't worked out what we're going to do for our basing scheme yet, so we're kind of stuck in this limbo of not wanting to glue a mini down. Because this guy would be an absolute bastard to take back off of this base. It would not be fun at all. At all. So, anything that needs a second coat? No, we're good. Let's fire up the airbrush. Let's get it on. Put the wet palette away. We've got about 20 minutes to finish this guy before we go into the whip. Easily possible, right? 20 minutes to do some OSL. People spend days doing that shit. Can we do it in 20 minutes? Maybe. Right, we're going to go 3-to-1 to begin with the Warpstone Glow and some Flow Improver. 3-drop Flow Improver to 1-drop Warpstone Glow. Milo, I'll play you, mate. It's all good. I hope you're good at rolling 4-ups is all I'm going to say, you know. I really, really hope you're good at rolling 4-ups. Because you know what's great at killing aggressors? Helverins. They fucking rock at killing aggressors. Right, so we're going to start off by getting a nice glow, a subtle glow around this green. That's why I'm using my finger there in the background to help mask some of the rest of the mini. We don't want this to be super, super bright, like eye cancer inducing neon green. We just want a nice little glow. So we're going to just overspray around that area. Frozen! Here he is. I knew the call of the Necron would draw you in like a moth to a flame. How you doing, brother? Let's get some hype in the stream for this absolute badass. Borbizor. How you doing, man? What's cracking? Marilyn, thank you for that follow. Dude, we're painting crons. We're painting Necrons. Got that Royal Warden on deck. Showing everyone how to do that new GW style Necron paint scheme. Quickly and easily. That includes glowing eyes, OSL, you name it. So far this has taken 2 hours, mostly of me talking shit. Occasionally putting some paint on, you know. I bet you paint the back of your Necrons though. Well, of course I paint the back of my Necrons. Doesn't everyone? Even Necrons deserve a butt shot, Chris. You get yours tomorrow. This is one. This one is the giveaway box for this weekend. Exclamation point weekend to all of you guys that just came in that may want to know how you could win not only this happy fellow painted by me, or this currently unhappy because he's in bits fellow painted by me. Not only one of those two minis, but also the rest of the Necron minis or the rest of the Marine minis from that box. This weekend, streaming all weekend, 10 a.m. Saturday through till later in the day. An undisclosed time of the evening / night / maybe very early morning Sunday. Then 10 a.m. Sunday through till 11 p.m. That's when the draw... Oh, Rocky! What are you doing, son? What are you doing? There he is. Theosaurus Rex, Shadowrunner San, Don Zuego, Morph, and Mini Zerka all got given subs by The Rock. I'll make sure you guys get your meeps after the stream. There you go. If you guys want to know a bit more about what that sub gives you, exclamation point win and exclamation point mystery will help you out. And if you feel like the crooked grin is right there in chat, that I want an entire Indomitus box myself. I don't want to split this with anyone. I want the whole thing, goddammit. Exclamation point box. Get a link to a Instagram post of mine. Follow the instructions in that link. You've got to follow the instructions. Once you follow those instructions, you will be entered into a prize draw for a chance to win an entire copy of that Indomitus box. Propane OG. Thank you for that follow. Welcome. Crooked Grin reckons it's his. I mean, it could be, but it might not be. You know. Might not be. All I'm doing with this one is just applying a very small bit of green which will spill out onto those other tubes. But we just want a little bit of a glow, tiny bit of a glow. Battle Squig! That's the coolest name that we've had so far this evening. Thank you for that follow, man, and welcome to the stream. So, Frozin, what were you painting? Scooter! Cheers for that follow, man. Get a little bit of a glow on these ribs. We don't want a lot, just want to keep it super, super subtle. Most of this section will be painted by hand, not by airbrush. But just to diffuse a nice little bit of glow around these vents. Just carefully sneak in there with that airbrush. So, I'm going to rinse most of that through and leave a little bit of dregs in the bottom, and then I'm going to give you guys a really big tip. This is something that's super key. This is green paint. That wasn't the tip. Give me time. That was just the tip of the tip. This is yellow paint. Also not the tip. Hold your shit. This is Necrotite Green from P3, which is literally a mixture of this and this. I'm going to use this in the airbrush now as our highlight colour. Now, why don't you just use yellow? You just told me that this is what this is. It's because if I add in a little bit of yellow now, because we're using very small quantities of paint, to that, we'll go to at least this intensity, if not past it. So we're going to hit way through this and go close to this than we want to. So we're taking a mid colour between the two and mixing that in with this. We'll get a softer transition through before we start working our really bright green up using that yellow. Frosty is busy posting pictures in the whip to make us never want to paint again. I mean, I've never seen anything that Frozin's posted and gone, I never want to paint again. I have frequently seen stuff that he's posted and gone, God, I'd love to sit down with him and paint for a day. That'd be cool. Just sit down, chill out, talk some crap with Chris. Talking crap with Chris should definitely be a segment on your show, by the way. Like, definitely now. Just do some painting. That'd be sweet. That's because you can paint. I mean, I throw paint at minis. That's close enough, right? Right, 12 minutes. I think we're going to run over. But let's get close. I've got a little bit of dry tip going on, I think. Okay. Yep, we're good. Cool, so now I'm going to start building the glow. So I want to hide all of the mini for now, just to start building this glow up in here. So obviously we're coming in nice and soft. Tiny amount of paint, we're aiming for the middle of these gauze tubes. And we just very slowly, because this is very thin, very slowly building up the intensity of that green in there. Now aiming for the middle, we'll allow this to spill over till we get to just the first and the last of these little circles. I don't know what they're meant to be. I think they're just, for our purposes, they're just decorative. They're just circles. There we go. So that's starting to get nice and bright green now. Notice how we haven't let that go anywhere near the edges here. Yeah, maybe a little just down here, that's totally fine, but not all the way out here. We want this to be glowing not to be fucking look at me kind of levels of glow. None of that. Now let's do this little power generator thing. Same deal. Want to make that nice and bright. Not light up the surrounding area with it too much. We've all seen OSL, which looks like something has been assaulted with an airbrush. This is not what we're going for. We're going for a nice, natural, passive glow, not the Blackpool illuminations. Don't want this to look like the Vegas Strip. There you are. Let's get the back side of this gun. So we need to master mini now. We're aiming past the mini. Slowly again, build this up. We're working with very thin paint. Don't want this going everywhere. That means not just the control that we need to get the OSL effect that we want, but also don't want any spider webbing or anything like that. Carefully pop that in there. Boom. Yeah, get a nice traditional Necron green glow. We're not going to airbrush anything else apart from, I think we can just about get to. Need some blaze. This is what we need. Ta-da! Ta-da! Like, don't need that shit. Glass Joe, enjoy your sub from Rocky. Let me give you your meeps. I know what Rocky's doing though. There you go, fella. That's you all sorted out. If you've been gifted a sub tonight, you will get your meeps if it's been an en masse gifting like Rocky and Ru-Tang have done earlier on. Don't worry, we'll just do them after the stream because it takes quite a long time to get like 10-15 people's names put through the bot. But if you have been gifted a subscription tonight, then exclamation point win and exclamation point mystery in the chat, because that'll tell you a lot about the giveaways that we do here and why it's good to be a sub here. Because you get cool prizes. Oh, stuff and things. It's me, Skeptic. Thank you for that follow. 5 more to go, says Rocky. And that's a sub for every day of the year, unless it's a leap year. There you go, that's Rocky getting 365. Damn, man. M Graining, Chicken Fingers, the Blinks, Commissar Bob, and Just Handley. You guys all getting subs as well. Let me take down your names. Button. And we'll make sure you guys get your meeps after the stream. Rocky, you fucking mad lad. He's at it again. He's at it again. The 366 is clearly yourself. Oh shit. Ru-Tang Clan saying, well, hang on a minute. I will not be denied. Damn. Sub Wars! Ru-Tang Clan gifting subs to Jammy Dognut, Cadasso Verde, Bobby McFly, Retio Santi, Tarajin, Din Mamas and Papas, Noise Created, Tro Firelight, Javasuko, and Blue Eyed and Furry. You know he's done that just to get one ahead of you as well. Damn, guys. Thank you so much. Absolute bosses, the pair of you. Here's to you both. Let's get some hype in the stream for both of those two. All you guys that just got your subs, you're now eligible for this month's miniature prize. You could win a mini painted by me, a colour scheme of your choice. Currently, you've got the option of an Obliterator, the Bloodball Minotaur, or the contents of the mystery box. I am Teoti. Rocky's given 100 gift subs during a stream before now. Just cuz. So, don't poke the bear. That's all I'm going to say. You guys are bosses. Thank you to you both. To those of you who just got given that subscription, please say thank you. It's just good manners, goddammit. Right. We are now 4 minutes left to get this guy done. It's not happening. Not all of it, but now we're moving in. We've got a little bit of that yellow in the mix. It's going to make our green super vibrant. If you want to make a colour brighter and more vibrant, generally a good way to go is to add yellow. Bowens must pick the Minotaur, says Rocky. And it's not always about the box. Last month was not the box. Last month was Ragnar Blackmane. Scythe Chop! Thank you for that follow. Get that. Top them up, you'll see where we're going. Nande, thank you for that follow as well. We're now just going just past these two little nodes in the center, right? That's all. So now we're starting to get that nice glow. It's still kind of subtle. It's not completely in your face. And we just reinforce that a little bit more, just in the center. We'll let that dry a little. While we do the rest of it, we'll come back, give it one more pass again, just in the center, to bring that glow in from both sides. Milo, you should have just got like normal ones with Boltstorm gauntlets, because they're useful. The flame ones look cool. They genuinely do. I love them. I love all aggressors. Anything in Gravis armor I think is cool as fuck. But from a competitive standpoint, the Flamestorm ones, even when Salamanders could make a unit of 6 fire 144 shots, was just meh. Meh. Right. Let's get this glowing green power core. Hit that just in the middle. And then, again, we'll get these cables. So we're going to grab our blue tack packet again. Chuck that in underneath. Very carefully now. Get the center line there. Does look cool, that, doesn't it? Does look very cool. You don't like knights? Ah, oh, didums. I love knights. They're my favorite. And they got so much better in 9th. They're going to be literally kicking buildings down with people stood inside them now. Like, oh, you're on the 2nd floor? Oh, you thought you were safe? Hide when there's no wall, bitch. You've got Eradicators. That's great. Average dice. 3 units of Eradicators. With rerolls to wound and rerolls to hit. Average dice just drops a knight. Just. So keep buying them. And then you'd better pay the CP and bring those in from strategic reserves. Otherwise, my friend, they're going to have a bad time. They'll get eradicated. X-Tab, absolutely not. The terrain rules are brilliant for knights. People have said that they're bad for knights. I've been playing pure knights for the last year, where I couldn't see through terrain because in the ITC it just blocked line of sight. And people could usually see me. But now they don't get that, because I touch the terrain by pushing my Gatling cannon through it, and I shoot them. That's them done. Right, pop that out of the way, ready to be cleaned later on. And then we are now over time, but we've been doing a lot of chat. Let's grab ourselves our Necrotite green and our Flashkits yellow on our palette. Bring it, mate. Bring it. I'll play anyone, honestly. I love 40k. Absolutely love 40k. It's one of my favourite things ever in the world. That's not, you know, the obvious. Yeah, that's fine, dude. They ain't. Sisters of Battle. That's the perfect counter to an Imperial Knights army. But the reason that Hellfrins are so good against any Marines is because they do flat 3 damage. So things like your aggressors, as soon as you fail a save, they die. Against Custodes, as soon as you fail a save, they die. There ain't no coming back. You know, that's it. You just, bam, done. Down you go. Because flat 3 damage is the legitimate best damage characteristic stat in the game you could ever have. I mean, gluten-free cake, perhaps. Right, highlight time. We need to do little highlights on ourselves. So I've mixed in some yellow and some green. And we're just getting in on this central section. I'm going to do the little orbs, little top highlight on all of those. But for the middle section, we're also going to do this kind of almost sort of handlebar shape that we've got going on there as well, just to give that a little extra bit of brightness. This is nice and thin, so it's not really a glaze. We're not glazing these highlights in, but it's definitely thin enough paint that it will naturally help to give us a transition as it dries, as gravity helps us out a little bit. You've got to get these highlights done when you're doing OSL. Now on this time, because these recesses haven't taken so much of the paint, we don't need to worry about a wash going in them. They're still nice and dark, which is perfect. Ah, I see. 4 wounds on a bike. But that means an Avenger Gatling cannon is great for getting through those. And I give zero fucks about those bikes at all, because it's all going to be strength 4. Even your attacks in close combat are going to be strength 4. And you've got a lot of them, but when you're wounded on 6s, just not going to get enough damage output, mate. You can't have everything, you're right, you're absolutely right. But you do have things that are legitimately scary for knight players, which are transports. Why are transports scary to knight players? Well, it's because we've got to open that fucking tin can before we can get the goodies inside. And in this case, the goodies inside are, unfortunately, OBSEC Space Marines that are going to jump out onto an objective, and knights have trouble playing the primary mission. I won the trophy last year for the ITC for best knight players, and it's this one just here, this little round circle on the glass plinth. So I've had lots of practice playing the primary mission. It's not easy when all you've got is knights. Not against a good opponent. So there's a lot of danger in Arena Army, which to me is mostly impulsors. What colours you use, if you would, for blue glow? For blue, super simple, man. So I use a Signar blue base from P3. It's a beautiful blue. It's a really nice mid-tone blue. Then for any of the highlights, I work in to begin with a colour called Lothern Blue, which is a GW colour. It's a really nice pale blue. It's got no elements of green, it's just blue, and it's just a nice pale blue. So I like that one a lot. I put a lot of stock in that. And then for the next highlight, I go back to P3 and I mix in some Sickly Skin from them. Sickly Skin is a ever so slightly blue-white colour. You just keep mixing that in. The custodes you see down here every now and again, all of the OSL on that has been done with that recipe. Then a blue wash to get your recesses put back in, because light obeys rules and therefore doesn't go around corners, and so would have recess shades. And then just add in some more Sickly Skin for your brushed on highlights. That's it. Really simple in terms of the recipe, just 3 paints, but almost everything is just 3 paints if I'm being honest with you. Right, got one more height to do on the ribs. Here's that second part I told you about on the eyes. So this one's really important because I missed it out earlier on. Just realised we haven't done yet is painted the eyes. So just gonna grab a little bit of that Necrotite green and just paint the eyeballs themselves. So I suppose it is still 3 brush strokes to get the glowing green eyes, because you can end up paint the eyes anyway, and it's 3 brush strokes to get the glow on. So the next brush stroke is to take some of that Necrotite green. You want it to be really thin highlights, so make sure you've got the right paint consistency. Where we've got these blurry green lines underneath his eyes from earlier on, what we need to do now is just trace the very top edge of the eye socket. So some of that green glow that we've got, that we've brushed on, comes down the cheek to about here. Yeah, we're just painting now this tiny line, and it's got to be real sharp. It has to be. If you don't, then looks like he's wearing makeup and not having a glowy eyeball. And you've still got to miss that line right up under the eye. So you can't do here, cannot do there. That's got to still be nice and dark. It's got to be just here. You get that line in. You can use a super heavy detachment for 3 commanding cost in combat patrol. Yep. Right, next up, we've got a mix of that yellow and green again. Let's grab some of that on our brush. Now we hit these ribs. So we need to just do the inside right here, because this is the thing that's emitting the light. I need this paint to be slightly thinner than it is as well. The thing that you've got that's making the light source has to be brighter than the thing it's shining on. The thing that's nearest to the light is always the brightest, and you can't get nearer to the light than being the light. So that has to be the brightest thing. So on the inside of these cells, these vents we've got in his chest, just popping this highlight in. Be careful. Make sure your brush has got a good point. Make sure your paint is the right consistency so it flows off the brush very easily. Like so. So now we've got some nice green glowing vents in his chest. We've got a nice green glowing gun. But one thing we haven't finished yet is his eyes. And just like we've just done on those ribs, we now just need to dot the eye. Because the glow underneath is a slightly darker green than the green that we're now painting his eyeball. We still had to do that first pass of necktie green on his eyeballs, because this won't cover the whole thing. This will just cover the front. So that necktie green goes all the way over the eye. This is just a little dot at the front. And I did say we'd do a stripe with his helmet green, but we forgot about it. And now we've done his eyes glowing green. I think it'd be too much green in that area. So we'll just go back quickly, grab some of our strong tone, our dark tone rather, so the black wash that we've got. Thin that down, just get things like this little bit of battle damage on his brow. And that, guys, is how you paint. I'll do one more thing. I only use this wash. This is just some green tone from Army Painter. Get a touch of that on the palette. Don't use their military shader. That one's really kind of drab. This is still definitely green. I'm going to thin that a little, because the one thing I don't like that we've done is these vents. So we're just going to drop some of this into these recesses, and that'll make our little glowing coils that we've got just brighter by proxy, and they'll stand out a little bit more. Like so. That's better. Now we're done. That seems like such a small thing, but that is the thing that makes all the difference between I've got an airbrush and I've done some OSL and I've painted a glowing effect. That's the difference. So one Necron painted start to finish in 2.5 hours while we were chatting shit on stream. All I'd go back in and change is that I'd do some of these green, maybe just get like a stripe of them, or like a row across the center to help break them up or something perhaps. Maybe just paint every single one of these little dots as a green gem, because that would actually look quite good. That would look cool. E2, you missed the brown effect? Go and watch it on YouTube. It'll be up tomorrow. It'll be encoding tonight and doing whatever internet mystery bullshit happens with that, but that will happen this evening. Tomorrow, go and watch it on YouTube, because I give you the complete breakdown of how to do it and the recipe for the brown. And the recipe is the important part out of this, because this is not a brown paint. This is a mix of my own, taken from 3 different color lines to get exactly the right tone out of this. This is the old Cron. The old Crons are dead to me now. Look at that midget. Look at him, he's so tiny. The big Necron boss man is here to stay, the Royal Warden. Looking hot. Looking hot. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to go into the whip. We are late, so once again we will whistle through it. And this time I mean it, because last time we said it, we'll whistle through it, and then it became 45 minutes. So we will skip past things a little bit this time. Apologies. But I need to get some rest, because this weekend we are giving away, or we're not giving away, we are raffling off the Scorpec Lord, who will be painted by me in the colour scheme inspired by Gypsy Danger from the Pacific Rim film. I can't wait. I cannot wait. This is awesome. And the currently headless Judicia. He should be painted up like an ultramarine, because the stream decided that's how he should be painted. 45% of you voted for an ultramarine. It's on you that it's a Smurf. That's it. But this sword, we're going to definitely make something special happen there. We're going to non-metallic metal that shit. God, I regret saying that already, but we're definitely going to non-metallic metal that shit. It's going to look awesome. I love this sword. The chop sword with the blunt end to just like straight through somebody's neck. Oh, yes, this guy is a weapon. Can't wait to paint him. So this weekend, exclamation point weekend in the chat now to get some details, but essentially Saturday morning, 10 a.m. we start. We'll finish very late Saturday night / Sunday morning. Sunday, 10 a.m. we start. The raffle happens at 11 p.m. Sunday night. So you've got all weekend to buy your tickets. Tickets cost £1 a ticket. If you buy 3 tickets, we give you 1 free. If you buy 10 tickets, we give you 5 free. Not only will you win one of those 2 miniatures painted up by me in those color schemes, you will win the rest of that faction brand new on sprue from out of that box. So for £1, you would get a commission painted miniature that will be anywhere from £150 to £180 value, plus the start of a brand new army. For £1. The fuck? If that's not enough for you and you want an entire box of the Indomitus set, exclamation point box, go follow that link to Instagram, go follow the instructions on that Instagram post, and you could win an entire one of those shipped to you anywhere in the world. Draw for that will take place on Monday. There you go. Let's do the whip. Exclamation point Discord to get over here. Go to the work in progress section and upload some pics. That's simple. We're going to start off today with Crownblade. The work continues, he says. Are these the ones for the under crown set, or is this under crown? What's it called? Under shade crown, shade spire. These aren't, are they? These are different ones. These are just the regular Sigmar dudes. They're looking cool. They're looking cool. I like what you've done with the sort of not quite parrot bird. He looks awesome. Adds a nice splash of colour and contrasts well with the blue. So, big fan of that. As is always the case, need a bit more contrast on there. They are the Fast Riders. Damn it, I thought they were. So the parrot, he's got some feathers which are tricky to see. So just get some lines, just pin washed underneath there. Get some highlights down. I give you that advice every time, man. Keep pushing that contrast. Butt shot. Here's some advice you don't want to hear right now, but it needs to be said, so kind of sorry, not sorry. There's a massive gap in that log where that joins the other part of the base, and it's unfortunately quite obvious. Next time you do anything like this with assembly, where there is a little bit of a gap, try and get hold of some Vallejo plastic putty beforehand if you can. Use it to fill the gap and then just file it away. It's really, really good for that sort of stuff. It's my go-to tool for fixing any of those sort of issues. Strongly suggest that to anyone that's put together multi-part kits. Vallejo plastic putty is a lifesaver. Paint job's good though, mate. And then we've got the little doggo / griffin / definitely doggo. He's cool. You could push the highlights a little bit more on your scales. So again, that helps you build that contrast up a bit. But I like what you've done. Ho J, I didn't know he was here. He's been painting crons today. He's been painting new crons. Except he's been painting new crons with the new GW paints because he's got to watch a training video, which is a little bit like Captain America's. So, you landed yourself into tension. It's a little bit like that, but it's GW training videos. So he's been painting new crons too. They do look sick. They do look sick. Which ones do you guys like a little better? Do you like my version of the Necron color scheme, or do you like Games Workshop / Hobo J's version? Answer on a postcard to, please don't answer this question on the stream in case I butt hurt him. .co.uk. That's it. You like Richard Graves? Dude, absolutely. Although, I wish he'd just done a little bit more with it. Just a little bit more. You like Mikey's? I'm not surprised, mate. Mikey's are cool. Mostly because throughout the painting process, it was like, what should I do now? How do I do this? Jay, what do I do for this? I've got a WhatsApp message log full of those messages from him about those Necrons. I feel like I painted those Necrons. These are amazing. Love the purple. Very different colour scheme to how you'd normally see them. And I like that. I like that individuality. You could probably go a little bit further with the weathering / dirt and patina and whatever grub you've got on the weapon, the cleaver. So make it look really dirty. Get some darker tones in there, fish. But these are great, mate. I love the colour scheme. Not had time to paint for ages, but just about done. Nice. Equally as well, on the pipes you've got on the back of that dude, that's clearly some weird amalgamation of an organ and some organs. Just where the end of the pipes are, just put another wash in there to darken that down so it looks a bit more like a recess. I like grey plastic, which is a good job because I'm sure the ones people bring to my club will be like it. Yeah, loads of it. The Dyson. Oh, dude. Purple Wraith Knight. Okay. I really like the legs. That sounds weird, but with the legs, you've got some really nice dark purples, and then you've got these highlights, and you've got that really high contrast, very nicely blended set of transitions in there. I think it's just the lights. Because in these like LED light boxes, they can be a little bit harsh and kind of difficult to take a photo in every now and again. But the top looks very much almost one colour. And like I said, I think it's the lights. But the legs, because you've got that dark and then the bright and then the dark. Oh, yes. All that contrast. That's great. Love that. You've done something with the face mask. I can see like a faint diamond pattern or something. That looks cool. I think maybe just darken the settings on your camera down a little bit, or if you can dim the lights, do that and take another photo of it. Because this is sick. The little bits of freehand you've got, the little red stripe, the little bit on his shield you've got going on. Sorry, let's just get the music back. They're awesome, dude. Really good job. Azrael! Thank you for that follow and welcome, man. You need better lights? Mate, the ones I use, they're brilliant. I got given one for my birthday by two people that are amazing in the chat. I bought a second one, and they're great for it. They can change the temperature of light from like blue light to yellow light. You can just about see the effect that's happening in the background here. They're amazing. But you are looking at a significantly larger outlay than buying a light box. The only thing you don't like is the helm. The thing you've got underneath the pattern is very flat. It's a flat surface anyway, and you've kept it very flat with the paint. You could just get a little darker version of that, glaze that in around the edges, just do your brush strokes going from the inside to the outside of the face, because it'll darken it that way, and then just sort of basically glaze it back out, but your highlights will be bringing it up, if you know what I'm saying. Difficult to describe, but basically glaze some shadows in around the outside of that helm, and that'll maybe sort out the issue you've got with it. Des, I can understand that, mate. I have to turn the lights out in mine. I just use these, otherwise I get the same problem. Cameras are crazy. Hinky King, I saw this the other day. Right, this is the salamander dude. Let's see what's gone on with this freehand. The advice we gave you was try and establish the dragon face a little bit more. You have done, definitely. That grey outline you've put on there has helped shape it up a little bit. I think the eye needs a little bit more. Yeah, I think the eye is the only thing that's letting you down a little bit. And I've got it. It's not... It is the eye, but it's the position of it. The eye needs to be slightly further forward, I think. Grab some reference pictures of like dragons, like fantasy art, whatever. And then move the eye further forward. Fish has the mouth that could be deeper. I don't know, you could, definitely. But it could be like a Chinese dragon, perhaps, where it would have a very long mouth, or it could be more like a lizard, like the actual salamander creature that we have on our world. So you could do either one of those two, I reckon. Or both. But if you do move the mouth in, move that before you move the eyeball, because then the eyeball might be in the same place. Like, sorry, it might be in the right place by being in the same place. But good job, mate. You're doing some free hands. You're pushing yourself. Keep it up. Then we've got the 2 on the other shoulder. Was that tidier the other day? The top of the 2 looks a little bit off. I'm sure the other day that was very much a 2. Am I wrong? Sorry, I'm also just painting basically the same thing through the wall, so apologies. You're going to do a nice clean shot of this guy later on. But yeah, I'm pretty sure the other day I remember that being a pretty spot on number 2. Woo! Oh, I see. I don't think that's worked, mate. Sorry. It just looks like you've not quite nailed the 2 right. I can see it now. I can see the eye and I can see the mouth. But the spike you've got vertically through the number 2 interferes with it too much, I think. So if you are going to do that, put a black line above and below the top of the 2. So when the 2 curves over, put a black line there and a black line there. So that vertical line that goes up is just separated a little bit. Like Polynesian art does this a lot, and I don't think I've got anything without taking my top off that you'd be able to see with it. No, mostly my bat that has like lines that intersect, but they don't touch because the top and the bottom part are just pulled away a little bit to allow that separation. Maybe if you did that, it would work. Give it a shot. What's the worst, right? But again, you're doing freehand. This is good. Nice strong basing scheme. Love the greens. Nice blends on the greens as well, I want to point out. Keep it up, dude. You're painting a lot better than I was when I was your age. You're doing things that I wasn't trying when I was twice your age. So, you know, keep going. Keep going. Blade Mark, getting Gotrek on the go. I love this guy, mostly because I've read all the books, and he's got a motor. I think I got up to... Well, I didn't read all the books. I got up to Zombie Slayer. That was the latest one that I read. Didn't get past that because it stopped being written for a while and another author took over. Milo, anytime, brother. It's very dark. It's difficult to see. Your flesh tones are very stop-start with the shadows. So let's have a look here, where it's much easier to see and the flesh tones aren't quite so stark. So let's have a quick look. You could do with blending your skin tones a little bit more. So the recesses you've got are still quite large. Gotrek's buff as fuck, right? He's a yoked dude. But the recess that comes in around the tricep area you've got there is about the width of his thumb, if you look at it from that side. And it's very difficult to... Oh, you've done blacklight paint. Oh, I understand. But yeah, I think you just need to thin down those recesses a little bit more, and then you could get one more highlight on the very edges of these muscle groups. So around his bicep, just hit like the, well, you can't see my arm or my bicep, but just hit like the curve here on the muscle where it will just finish. But no other part of it, literally just a quick line there, done. On the shoulder muscles, the traps, just hit that line and nothing else. Bottom of his pecs, nothing else. Just to give it a little bit more definition. Let's go back to that first pick. I didn't realise it was blacklight, but yet you've got glowing little runes on the inside of the axe. Did you do his tattoos like that as well? Because that could have been a cool thing to do. But that's cute. And then... oh, wow! They're really cool. I know he's in the wood elf trees. But they're really cool. I love the pink one that you've got there, cherry blossom. Nice. Sarah, I did see your message on Discord. I just haven't had time to look for it, mate. At some point I'll find it, but look him up. You keep searching for him because he's fucking brilliant. Primed almost all means I got who weren't primed. Nice. So we've got a load of we've got ghost peoples, Sigmar stuffs. Cool. When you run out of this primer, buy the 200ml bottle. It's much more cost effective. And then this one is various. So I see bits of Gazgol. I see some Space Marines. I see this is a battle. I wonder where that came from. Smash a gun, some ghost people. Nice, dude. Staying busy. I like it. Rocky says, I can't get it to come out right in the bloody photo, but I think I have the armor I want for me pups now. Cool grey shadows, warm grey highlights. Okay, that does look very white. But like you said, can't get it to come out right in the photos. So what you're going to have there as an issue is what we keep saying when people post like just a base coat of something. There's no nothing that it contrasts against it. So there's no part of the mini that we're looking at and going, right, cool, this works because this here is this color, and so on. And that's an issue we have with our eyeballs. Now cameras have the same issue. If you ask any professional photographer, and if Chris is still here, I'm sure he'll tell you, if you're just photographing one color, you need to do a lot of work to the settings on your camera to make sure that everything can be seen. Whether that's messing around with like the aperture times, shutter speeds, whether it's changing your white balances, all these things. There's a lot of work that goes into taking a photograph that has very little detail in it. And I imagine the issue you're having with your camera now, when you're trying to take this photo, is that all it's got is one thing to try and register on its sensor, and as a result it's going to get a bit confused. It doesn't really know what the best settings are. Whereas if you paint in the rest of the mini and you get down things like the little gaps in between the armor where he's got the normal marine suit, the little like ribbed suit, if you get down like, your details on the plasma, his head, tribal markings, all these sorts of things, then it'll start coming out and looking a lot better because the camera can then pick up on all those other bits of color. So quick tip to anyone taking photos, do a bit more than just the base coat. Why would you paint? I don't know. What you should be doing is finding me a base for Magnus, because we need that. I need it here in a month, put it that way. Cake Fist needs some cleaning up. Yeah, it does, but still a work in progress. Base stuff is still drying. You could do some highlights on it, especially on the shoulder pads. They're very, very dark. I've not seen pink helmets on Imperial Fist style Marines before, and I don't dislike it. I think that's quite a nice touch. Okay, mate. If we're making one, then we're making one, and that's fine. We'll sort it out. Did you speak to Justin? I like the plasma gun. But you're right, that does need a little bit of just tidying up. Overall though, nice job. Get some nice black base rims on there, snap them into focus. They'll be looking the part. Also try playing with white. Okay, let's have a bit more of a deep dive on this, because this could do with a few things. So first thing I want you to look up. Bunyip Studios! Dude, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. Let's get a shout out for Bunyip. I don't think I follow you on Twitch, which is criminal. But let's get a shout out for them. How is your stream? We're going to be wrapping up probably within the next 5 minutes or so. But we will make sure the raid gets passed on and some more Hobby Love combined raid happens. What I will do now quickly now is shut this guy up. He talks nonsense. Don't listen to him. But I will. Oh, I do follow you. Oh, good stuff. We're just doing our community work in progress. So this is one of the guys in the chat, Milosplat. And he is painting this guy with white. And this is a common issue that people have when painting white. I'm going to zoom right in. So this is obviously unfair because the mini is not that large. So, white paint is, for a lot of people, a source of great frustration. Because white paint generally is not very well made. You have something that is trying to be old school, proper titanium white and will never be, not really. And so people will generally take white paint and they will blob it on a mini and they go many coats and it's not working. It's not going. I'll use a thick coat of white paint. Wag! In with the brush we go, and then kapow, you've got basically Dulux style emulsion all over your mini. And that's not ideal at all, because what you get then is this texture. Now I appreciate we've blown up this apothecary's head to the size of a monitor right now, and this is unfair. But the point remains. When you're painting white, Bunyip said this, don't use white when painting white. We'll get to that, but you start off with very, very light greys. And you paint very thin coats of that until you have a very, very smooth grey. Then you add some white in. I can see, it's right here, just before his ear coverings. I can see it. You add some white in, and you do a highlight. Very, very thinly. You're glazing these highlights on. And you keep going. But you only use pure white to just do the highlights. And I can see your highlights. But if you don't go through that entire process of here is a very thin coat of not white, and here's another very thin coat of not white, and so on, and so on, and so on. If you don't go through that process, you do end up with this. It's rough, dude. And again, this is unfair. No marine helmet is that size. And if you blew up some of my own work, you'd still see a lot of this texture through it. But if you're aiming for a smooth white, which I imagine you are based on how your salamanders looked, that's the way. It's just a case of taking your time, being super patient, and then at the very, very end, hitting the absolute peaks with white. Now, something you can use to help yourself out is this. Where's my mouse gone? White ink. This will give you much better coverage than any white paint. This is P3's Morrow White, which is light years above Games Workshop's whatever they call their white these days. This stuff's good. This stuff is like God mode for white. Because the pigment in this is unbelievably strong. It's really finely ground pigment suspended in still acrylic medium because it's an acrylic ink. But the medium is a lot different to what you would find in this. The pigment being so finely ground means that when you put a thin coat of this, or even this mixed in with grey, over a mini, it's going to sit a little easier and will start to give you those coats much quicker, so it's less frustration. But that takes us to the end of the whip tonight. Tonight we painted one of the Necrons. Dark Crisis, thank you for that follow. Ceramite White, that's it, that's what they call it. It's such a bag of shit. Here we go. So we did one of the new Necrons. This is the Royal Warden from the Indomitus box in the new Games Workshop colour scheme without using any of the new Games Workshop paints. And if you want to know how we did this, and the whole mini took 2.5 hours because we're talking shit on stream, you can do this. Here's my test mini that I did. See, the biggest change is the way we've done the green. Didn't like it too yellow. The test mini took 45 minutes off air. This guy I could have easily painted in an hour off air. So if you want to see how to do this, exclamation point YouTube, get a link to myself over on YouTube where the VOD will be up by tomorrow morning. Which will encode it overnight, and there you go. We used a lot of airbrush, but things like this, the glowing green eyes, showed you guys how to do that without using an airbrush. Very simple, 3 brush strokes and done. And they look good. There's nothing wrong with those eyeballs. Daddy Tubbs, I've just tuned in. Did you use an airbrush for this mini? Yeah, we did, man. All of the metallics, all the brown, some of the OSL, everything else was brushwork. There's not, whilst obviously most of the mini was done by airbrush because most of the mini is that colour, there's not a lot of airbrush work that needs to be done. So even beginners with an airbrush can definitely do this easily enough. While we find somebody to raid, remember this weekend, Saturday morning from 10 AM. Exclamation point weekend for some details. We are painting the Scorpeth Lord in a Gypsy Danger from Pacific Rim inspired colour scheme. Blue, red, white, and some powerful oranges on these power weapons and that Gorse gun. We're also painting up the Judicia as an Ultramarine because the stream decided it should be an Ultramarine. Once those are done, they will be raffled off. You'll be able to buy tickets into the raffle where you will win either of those 2 minis. The winner, first place gets to choose which one, second place gets the other one. But not only will you win that mini, you will win the rest of that faction brand new on sprue. So for the price of £1, one measly pound to buy your ticket, you could win a commission painted mini that could be worth up to £180 and the start of a new army. Crazy. £1 a ticket, buy 3, get 1 free, buy 10, get 5 free. Starting at 10 AM Saturday morning. More details there in the stream. Let's find somebody to raid now though. Who we got? Slow Fuse is on. Or Chris. I know somebody wanted me to raid Ryboog. They did guide the raid. We did raid him last week though. And so I'm going to raid Orchrist because Orchrist is a community member. He hangs out here quite a lot. And we haven't raided him in ages. And he's painting an Anavia model from League of Legends. And I'm a big fan of that game. So that's where we're going right now. So when we get there, I want you to give this guy all of the hype. He deserves the hype. He definitely deserves the hype. He's a great dude. He's my favourite Canadian. He needs that love. So thank you to everyone who tuned in today. Remember, this weekend, be here. We go live at 10 AM UK time Saturday morning, where you could win most of an Indomitus box and a mini painted by me. Thank you to all of you. Peace out. We'll do the raid as soon as the credits have finished. So make sure you join in. Have a good one, guys.